Hi, guys. This is Kelly McCormack, and you're listening to How Are You Now, the toughest podcast in Letterkenny.
We want the cup. We want the cup. We want the cup. We want the cup. Bruins, Lions, Caps, and Pens. Senators, Leafs, Canadians. Flames, Jets, and Canucks. Sharks, Blues, Yotes, and Ducks. Whoa! Only one go!
Those are our buddies from Light the Lamp. Well, you know, and unsurprising, they were our number one selected band for the season.
Very nice.
So
very cool.
Very cool. Very cool. Very nice. So yeah.
You made
Hey,
the face.
Let's see. What does this say? Oh yeah, Tiara.
Oh, yeah.
How are you now?
Good, and you?
A little verklempt.
Oh, yeah. It's weird.
Yeah, season 8 is ended, and we do not yet have a season 9.
No, we know that it's been filmed.
Yes, we've been told soon. So,
But soon could mean anything in this wibbly wobbly timey wimey reality with Jeremy Bearimy. What else?
yeah, all that good stuff. So, let's wrap everything up all nice and
I
neat.
guess so.
Put a bow on it. Yeah, season 8 finale. Let's give some shout outs really quick to all of our folks that we want to, that have, shouted out to. We want to kind of recap that. So WrestleThon from our buddy Jake Woodco
awesome.
has been working on for a long time now. Yeah. Awesome. Puyallup Animal Rescue with Liz, who was on our season 8, episode 7. Comedy Wham, Valerie Lopez, been a long time friend.
Yep.
Amazing gal. And she found her cat. So
Thank gosh.
our buddy Renee Encarnacion with his podcast Beyond Bushido. And Dennis Guggen, who is really lately cranked out some awesome.
Oh, yeah. Pandemic's been good for him.
Yeah. So, yeah. So,
You should really go check them out. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, there's
several different Ron and Doxes. I know this.
He's got a Shorzy.
Yeah. That's right.
He's got a Mrs. McMurray.
He's got at least one version, I think, of everybody. And he's got a couple of versions of other ones, too.
Yeah. So, yeah. Go check out his work. Dennis Guggen, Custom Pop Vinyls. You'll find him out on Facebook. And he's also on Twitter. I think it's at Dennis Guggen or something like that. So, yeah.
I'll go out and check that one.
Go check him out. And thanks to our host, Transistor. They've been amazing for us. Because I can tell you this, since we've been with them almost a little over a year ago, we've got over 76,000 downloads.
How many episodes have we had?
In all?
Yeah.
I want to
actually not something I've thought about before.
I think in all we are, is it 61 or 62? Let me look real quick. I can
pay attention to that. So when we get to 69, we can do a special episode.
Nice.
A very special episode.
It's 62, but that's with our very, very first promo still out there. So,
all right.
So
61.
Yes.
Okay.
So 61 real episodes.
So somewhere around the end of season 9, we'll be able to do like a Shorzy centric episode number 69.
Oh yeah. Gotta have it.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So on Facebook though, same as last end.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had new people and we've lost other people. So,
well, I think that the people that we lost, I'm okay with.
Yeah.
Because most of it was when people think that Black Lives Matter is a political thing instead of, my life.
Yeah, exactly.
That sort of thing.
But from Twitter, we've jumped up over 200 since the last one. We're at 2767. We were at 2540 before.
And this is in about 2 months, right?
Well, it's total of 8 episodes. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Instagram, a little bit here and there. I've never really done Instagram a lot because I'm not good at it.
Previews on there so far.
Some of them. if I can
learn eventually.
Well, I've got to chop. See, putting this together takes some effort. So I have to go after we've recorded and I've edited and put it all together. Then I have to go back and listen to everything again and say, what sounds good for a 1 minute
promo.
Yeah, thing.
The promos are great though, because we can talk about the show and without actually like spoiling anything. We're like, guess what we talked about?
Yeah. So, and that's what a lot of, because what I call our moments here when we do the recaps, that's the ones that I did make headliners on. That's where I go out and it does all has our logo up there and it does the closed captioning and all that stuff. That's where, that I put those back in here because I thought those were really good. So may as well use them. But I think I only had 2, maybe 3 at most. So yeah, had that. So yeah, Instagram got 4 more. We went up from 730 to 734. And Tumblr, which I really haven't done anything with.
I can't even remember the last time I logged into Tumblr. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I really should.
Yeah, but we jumped up 39 on Tumblr without doing basically anything. So yeah, that was
Social media cracks me up sometimes.
Yeah,
and frustrates the fuck out of me. But
and we got our Patreon now. We're at the same number as we had last time, but we lost some and we gained some new ones.
Oh, okay.
Which doesn't surprise me. With all this time, lots of people are losing work.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And
we do not hold it against you if you can't be a patron right now because we understand.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So, losing work or, just had to cut down on things because of, lots of different, life happens. So we've got
everything.
But we, 25 patrons on patreon.com/howareyounowpod. And let me read these back real quick. I'm going to read it from oldest to newest.
Okay.
Active Patreon members. Monica McCoy, Valerie Lopez, Renee Encarnacion, Heidi, Reagan, Awesome, Shanna Sawatsky, Mitch, Cole, Dennis Guggen, Anthony, the Pie Guy, Courtney Scaglione, Shane Winsma, Vegas Matt, Blue Eyed Devil, Jason Higby, Blaine Stewart, love you, Blaine, Lorna Violet, Thomas Kennedy, Aaron Schoen, Woody Meacham, Liz Orton, Kevin Larson, Heather Beebe, T, and Samuel Wise.
Sam Wise.
Yep. So
also, hi, Kevin.
So thank you.
I know in real life.
Thank you so much for being a patron. And we're gonna do something here at some point with our patrons.
Yeah.
To just try to keep things cool. I need to.
Cool,
we need.
nice.
Yeah, very cool, very nice. We need to make some stickers and stuff like the ones that we have for Pitter Patter. Black Lives Matter. Yep. Yeah. So, and I need to go count how many extras we have so we can figure out how many extras we can give out. So, cool. But I do know because he has been our biggest Patreon member and has been with us so long.
Yes.
I'm making sure that we get one to Renee. So
I could read your mind there. You didn't even have to say anything. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. I mean.
If Renee lived in the same city as you, I feel like you two would be hanging out a lot. And I love it. I think he's awesome.
Probably so. Yeah.
Renee, you are awesome.
And if and when Dawn gets better, Dawn.
Oh my God, the 3 of you together. Can we just make that some kind of vacation destination?
We would definitely be the 3 Stooges.
And no,
I mean,
I was going to say, and then I would be the sober one, but that would be no fun.
No, I'd be the sober one. Dawn would be sober.
That's true. Yeah.
Renee would be the non-sober one.
Very much. Yes.
You and Renee would be the.
I don't think I could ever actually drink with Renee because I used to be I was never like a medal winner, but I had a participation trophy in drinking. But I don't drink like that anymore.
No.
I feel like I've had enough when I've had, a glass of wine now.
Well, I don't feel so bad when I have, a Bloody Mary because it's vegetables.
Totally. It's breakfast.
It's tomatoes and potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. How can you go wrong? So, sometimes if you have one, you can throw a celery stick in there. It's fucking salad, man. So... You okay?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the season, shall we?
All right.
All right. So season 8, episode 1, Misfire.
Misfire.
Wayne Wayne recovering.
Yeah.
Overall is what it is. Our guest host, Caitlin, first timer, awesome guest. I think she's Midwest somewhere, if I can remember correctly, but I didn't write that down.
I've slept a couple times since then.
But she was wonderful, lots of fun. Our band, also a first time band for us, which actually ended up getting played another time this season.
Yes.
Monkey Shorts, and
Yes.
they are out of Seattle. They are fucking awesome. They're so fun.
I can't wait for shows to start again. I mean, I can because people are gross and I'm afraid of them, but I can't wait to see bands that I've like newly discovered in the last few months.
Yeah.
Damn it.
And our moment from this was a discussion that we had about advantage taken while Wayne is sulking.
I don't know. Oh, I'm looking at my notes that I jotted down earlier when I was doing my rewatch as well. I mean, speaking of the produce stand, Bonnie sitting in Wayne's chair.
She was so cute though when she said she's like
she was, but my immediate reaction was the first time I watched this and remains to be hard no.
She was
It's just
marinate.
weird to me. I would love to have her back like on as like a series regular now and not just like a few episodes each season.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would love to have her as a series regular, but that was too weird for me. I was like, oh, why are you kicking a man while he's down by sitting in his chair?
It's like sitting in the captain's chair.
she's been basically like fangirling over him for the last, most of her life.
Well, it's like
and
Wayne's
he's
single.
not there right now. And she knows he's single. So she's like, oh, just to be near him, I'm sitting in his chair. What was
I know,
it she
but
said?
okay. But let's stay on topic.
I'll give him some encouragement. I'll get him excited as she's sitting in that chair, just like, oh, I can feel it in this.
Why was she being so mean to Derry?
Because he missed his chance.
He had a chance.
She literally was like throwing herself at him a couple of times, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sick of her, the girl who cheated on me." And now he's like, "Hey, you want to get back together?" And she's like, "No, I'm busy." I made myself crack. Sorry.
Yeah. So that was definitely a good moment for that. I mean, just watching her sit in that chair and just kind of like, yeah, I can.
Right. Our dog just made the noise. I don't know if it got picked up by the microphones, but it was like, yeah. Like that's exactly.
I'm going to marinate in this Wayne juice.
Yeah.
But yeah, then they had a little chat also between them, which made our favorite clip for this episode.
But ladies.
What, Dan? You just sit there and be a half-ass friend? Don't be a fence-sitter. Come out for it one way or the other.
Horridern.
That's my boy.
Gordon Lightfoot.
Hora the Explorer.
Harrison Horde.
This is fast turning into the never-ending hoary.
Simmer down, Benicio del Toro.
At the risks of mansplaining feminisms to you, Professor Trisha always says women's is exposed to build each other's up, not tears each other's downs.
Women are supposed to build each other up, not tear each other down is the new, I know you are, but what am I?
Yep.
So good episode.
So, and just to clarify, in case for some reason this is your first time listening to a recap show of ours, these are scenes that are voted on our Facebook group, right?
Yeah.
So, and then Twitter, let them know to go to the Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we every year at the end of the season, it feels like a year sometimes. Every season, we go out at the end and we ask everybody what their favorite episode was, what their favorite quote or scene that we just did from that episode. And then both I and Tiara, usually it's just me, but usually I go in and find our favorite, a good moment from that season, or that episode to throw in there. Yeah. So that's what that was. So
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure that. All right, episode 2.
Episode 2, National Senior Hockey Championship. With our guest host was Joe Quinn, also a first timer, very nice dude. Hope to have him on again. With the musical guest, Light the Lamp, who you just heard up top. Then we had a nice long chat because the season prior, we had a chat with a nice long chat with Trevor Risk, the one of the writers for the show, and we had a nice little chat about Trevor.
I was actually listening to the Trevor Risk podcast while I was at work.
Yeah,
I had to pull over because I was laughing so hard. He is
funny as fuck.
I'm sure he will never listen to us again. But God, I got such a crush.
Well, actually, my plan is, and he's agreed to it. Because
Kelly McCormack did too.
It's because we don't know about season 9 yet.
Yeah.
My plan is, if I can, is to get them as a guest host, like you are, for an episode. So, because I think that would be a lot of fun.
I swear that if he doesn't come out in full drag as the ostrich at some point in the next 2 seasons,
right?
The show has lost all meaning.
Yes,
so true.
We're holding Trevor to that.
Oh yeah, we remind him every once in a while.
So yeah, you'll have to go back to the season 7 finale to listen to that if you haven't already. Because Trevor is brilliant. He's hilarious, very clever. So yeah,
works with Trailer Park Boys. And
so yeah,
some of the funniest shit on Letterkenny comes straight from his mind.
And some of the music that he helps Jared find, because Jared gets all the is the one who picks all the music for each episode. So, but yeah, go listen to that chat. That was fantastic. And so yeah, go listen to it. And the quote that got picked number 1 for this episode was this.
Sure you want to do this?
Can confirm.
Katie?
Bonnie?
Don't kick a dead horse.
Bonnie?
Katie?
Bend enough and you'll break.
Stand for nothing and you'll fall for anything.
And then they took off to go give Marie Fred
Katie's revenge.
Right in the Twiffer.
Katie's revenge. Like that's her thing.
Yeah. So that's what they went off to do. That's when Wayne was still recovering. So anyway, number 3 is where the interesting downward and upward and downward slide.
We meet a new character.
Yes, Dirks. with our guest host Heidi. Hi, Heidi.
Hi.
And musical guest Finding Freedom. The moment for this episode.
Oh, this is the best.
It's
yes.
Yeah, I mean, let's just bring it. Sturt. So he hasn't done anything bad this episode.
No.
He's still packing. He's still jacked.
I mean, I kind of want the Packer penis that they use for him for myself.
Yeah, right?
Right? It's a good one. I want to know at least where they got it.
Ask him. They'll probably tell you.
You should message Trevor. Hey, where did you get the Packer penis for
He's not
Stuart?
that's costuming.
I know, but he knows the people.
Yeah.
You actually like semi-talk to him every once in a while.
Well, he doesn't, a lot of the work he does from home. He doesn't.
I know.
Just tweet at them.
All right.
Yeah.
I will tweet at them. Tiara and Heidi want to know.
Okay. I mean, we're literally saying it on the podcast. I want to know where the Packer penis comes from.
Yeah.
I still don't know.
I haven't asked.
I think we brought it up with Trevor and he was like, yeah, I don't know. So like if we ever do get a chance to talk to, well, actually we could probably message Stuart about it.
He's not going to know. He doesn't. Aww. They just slap it in there in his crotch.
Can I have that job?
The crotch penis Packer slapper.
Hell yeah. Sounds fantastic.
Well, he does. He is a bit of a sub bottom. So,
right.
I mean, Gay has shown us that.
Yes.
It's the best
She
gay
has.
sex ever. So
mind-blowing gay sex. So anyway.
So yeah. And the number one clip
yes.
for this episode.
Can someone count it out? Since I first pinned him, Rold has enhanced.
Oh, and the look on his face.
Yeah. Rold loved it. Stuart, not so much.
Stuart was very uncomfortable. It was hard to say if he didn't like it. He didn't like jump off like, oh my God. It was like, this is public. That's.
Well, he doesn't have, he didn't seem to have a problem with Stuart putting it back in his pants after he was peeing. So,
right.
So,
or, rolled or adjusting it when he first was in the compression pants and little ding ding.
I did. And because I just sent you the outtakes.
Right.
He's talking
to the, it's so great. Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't want to be on the show, but I just want to be there to watch. But I would like ruin every take because I would crack up in the middle of it. So never mind.
Do you mind if I touch your packer penis?
You love that idea.
So anyway, we go from there.
Episode 4.
To episode 4, which is the number 2 overall episode selected for the season.
Cool.
So episode 4, Ferda. With our buddy Jake Whitco from WrestleThon. Also back again, Monkey Shorts, because we love them. They're awesome. They're fun.
Yeah,
totally fun. And I've entitled this one When Katie Meets Dirksy.
So speaking of Katie and Dirks, I hate how good they are together in the one scene in this episode. I if I didn't feel like Dirks is just a slimy human being from the first moment I saw him on screen, I would be really into that potential relationship because they're adorable and they're having fun together. And it's really the first time we're seeing Katie have fun with somebody.
Yeah.
And it's natural fun. She's not trying. She's just being her. He's just being him. And they're goofing around and hanging out and enjoying themselves. And it's unfortunate that he is kind of a gross person, but whatever.
He's the Eddie Askell. So
yeah, that is kind of, right. I like the way that he does not, it's cute teaching her how to ride on the skateboard. It's not, let me wrap my arms around you and it's, no, I'm going to hold your hands and help you steady, but then I'm going to let go and you're going to be fine. Like actually teaching her, not just
and when she's sitting on it and he's kind of leading it down.
That's so cute. Oh God. I seriously, if I was still a teenage girl obsessed with every skate kid that I meet, then I would have just I love that scene so much. So,
but yeah, it looks, it doesn't look, the scene at all, that doesn't look creepy at all.
No. The scene looks perfect.
Yeah. They look genuinely happy.
Yeah.
So it's a good scene. And it's like all those scenes that you had with Wayne and Marie Fred that were like, oh,
no spoilers, But,
well, that's not a spoiler. That was last season.
I know, but it also is kind of mirror.
Okay. Yeah.
And if I didn't know the rest of this season and how that season had gone, I might look at that scene and go, okay, maybe I misjudged him. Maybe he's just creepy in the strip club. You know?
I know I did that when
we first watched it. Yeah. So it's hard for me because I want Katie to be happy and aside from the kind of sliminess, they really seem good together in that short little time period.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's very important to have fun in your relationship, but also not be slimy.
Well, and I think that's also part of the cleverness of the writing is that they keep you on your toes. Well, maybe it's not so bad, So it was that was a great episode for you to kind of say,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and the clip, and you can never deny
the best.
You can never deny.
Say, you fellas ever go on these dating apps? It's no slim pickings for Jim Dickens.
Oh man,
There's no slim pickings for Jim Dickens. Yeah.
What episode did we talk about him coming? Because now I'm remembering that.
There's you could fit a few people on Jim Dickens. He's rather tall, so yeah. There's plenty of room to ride that ride.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jim Dickens. So, yeah, Jim's always fun. Fun to have on. Apparently, our dog does not care for Jim Dickens very much, or maybe she just understood that we were talking about Dirks a bit ago.
Oh, yeah. She was.
Dirks.
Yeah, she just growled. See, nobody could hear that but me.
Dirks. Episode 5, Yard Sale Saturday, with our good buddy Chip Lehman, Danielle Chip Lehman. Who's the most adorable goalie ever, goaltender. So
cute.
Yeah, she's fun, and you should listen to her podcast. Totally Offsides. If you have anything, if you like hockey, hockey ball.
Hockey ball. Yeah, that's it. The hockey ball.
And a first-time guest from Australia, the Unprettier.
The music. Yeah.
Yeah, the music. Sorry, I meant to say musical guest. And. We had a chat about our similarities with the Canada. I'm trying to cut back my. Nope.
Canada and the U.S. are the same country. Don't let anyone tell you different.
Yeah. What's the
we have slightly different leadership right now, but not really.
Yeah, we're just kind of racist against other people.
Yeah. We switch who we're racist against depending on what side of the border we're on.
Right,
but
I can't remember who said it first, but like Canada is like the nice apartment above a meth lab.
Oh,
yes.
I've heard that. That's not true. I believe that it is the meth lab next door in the duplex. Because Canada has just as bad a problem with racism against Indigenous people, against Black people, and they have
fewer people up there.
They have fewer people up there
per capita.
So that's what makes it less.
Yeah.
So they make Coke. We make meth.
Well, size-wise, they're about the same. Just because Canada has less people in it, that means that they have more money, probably.
But they spread it over a bigger surface area. Yes.
Fuck, I love these weird conversations we get.
Size-wise of their country, they're more like a Stewart.
Right? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like a Packer penis, they're not really filled with much.
I do stand by my assertion that the leadership of both countries aren't that much different. Like I to this day will defend my opinion that Trudeau is Canada's Obama because the things that he does and says and the problematicness is absolutely there.
But it's like John Mulaney said. When you're going to leave your baby with your mother, you don't rush home to check the nanny cam.
Right.
But
you know what kind of fucked up she does.
Right. But if the babysitter is Gary Busey.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, yeah, a little different,
Now I'm imagining that.
Okay. Yeah, he would do some of his weird art with the kid. And then they're screwed up for life.
And they would like, you'd get home and you're like, why is the kid still awake at 3:00 in the morning? And they would like give you this long-winded, like why they had to stay up and talk about stuff. I don't even fucking know.
And we've got all this blow to do.
Right. So he needed somebody to keep him up because if he crashed, it would be a bad idea.
Yeah. And then this is probably, and I think it was probably the number one quote for the entire season. I didn't try to check that one out, but looking at the numbers on all of them, this one got more votes on that season than any other quote got. So listen up.
Sometimes there's shit on the outside of the toilet. Huh? Sometimes there's shit on the outside of the toilet.
Is that right?
You think that's bad, you should see the Uranus.
Huh?
You think that's bad, you should see the Uranus.
They get pretty hairy over there? Or?
Sometimes there's shit on the outside of the Uranus.
What?
Sometimes there's shit on the outside of the Uranus.
Fuck. Well, how do you think it got there?
Remember how I said sometimes there's shit on the outside of the toilet?
Yeah.
Well, I bet the shit got on the outside of the Uranus the same way the shit got on the outside of the toilet.
He sounds like he's gonna cry when he's saying it.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's shit on the outside.
And then you heard the door open. That was McMurray coming in, and then the whole thing happened.
Same
again.
conversation, yeah.
So yeah. It was, number one. In my opinion, that's the number one for the season, I think. Then our next episode, which was the number one choice of episode.
Oh, my favorite this season.
Episode
too.
6, Holy Sheep.
Yeah.
And we're back with the dicks.
Yes. Love the dicks.
They needed some help at the dick farm. With our buddy Renee Encarnacion. Yeah, 'cause he said, anytime the dicks are on, I'm claiming it. So he holds claim to all the dick episodes. So
unless we can get like a dick on the show, maybe.
Yeah, if Jonathan Torrens wants to come on the show
anytime,
or Sarah Wayne Callies.
And we will tell her how much we apologize for hating her in Walking Dead.
But that wasn't her fault.
No, it wasn't.
No.
It was terrible writing.
Yeah. The story was much better than comics. Go read the comics; they're fantastic. Yes. And musical guest, the White Coals.
White Coals
with Cole Fournier, Cole Fournier in the band from the podcast Super Fun Time Trivia
from the Great White North.
Yes, they are out of North Bay, Ontario. This initially, I think Renee got a little distracted.
Oh, right.
I'm trying to cut back my carbohydrates.
And that's when Katie fucking calls herself Gretzky.
Yes. I'm like Gretzky around here.
I know where everybody is. I'm like, yeah, you do, baby.
When she said it, I was like, oh, I got the reference. She saw tits fucking from behind her. She had eyes on the back of her head.
That's right.
Tits coming.
She was facing this way. Tits is right over here.
Yep. Yeah. She's like, I do a little window shopping. It's all right.
That's all good.
I don't mind if you look at her. She's got big old boobs. It's all good.
We fucking point them out to each other.
Oh, yeah, we do. Oh, it's fun.
But it's more asses than tits.
Definitely. I'm not,
because asses ain't everywhere.
Right? And having been, having had tits since I was in like second grade, they're cool and all, but no.
You have tits?
Just a couple.
No.
1 and 2.
Whoa.
Bam, bam.
We didn't have a deal with that in pre-production at all.
We didn't have to move the camera so you weren't just staring at my boobs the whole time. It's all good.
They were 80. It was like the fucking South Park version of Beth Chapman. It was Beth Chapman. I would have looked at this the whole episode. And I'm holding my hands in front of my face, guys. This is what I would have seen the entire episode. Just like they would have been talking to Bane.
Oh my God.
You are blushing so hard.
I forgot about that whole thing. Now, when we set up the camera at first, I didn't even notice that it was literally just like my chin and my tits in the picture. And he was like, I mean, I like the view, but can we change it so I'm not distracted the whole time? I completely forgot about that.
Yes, Tiara has tits. They are not tiny.
They are not tiny. They are. I mean, if you have known me in real life for more than 2 years, they used to even be bigger, which is
true.
Which is crazy.
Which is not even the reason that I found.
No.
It was her ass.
Absolutely. My ass is fantastic. None of y'all, well, a couple of you know. But.
That's what you get for doing the derby.
I had a nice butt before derby, but derby really taught me how to keep it nice.
Yeah, true.
Even though I don't play anymore.
And to expand on tits.
Oh, great tits, eh?
Yours?
I know they're great. No confirmation required.
Then
I'm like fucking Gretzky in here. I know where everybody is.
Gotcha.
And you're talking to a fellow window shopper. It's not a crime. I do it all the time.
Better luck, don't touch.
Cheap thrills.
Never hurt nobody.
Bing, bang, boom.
You are very cool. Very cool. They're nice.
Yeah? What are you going to do about it?
See, the way that they flirt with each other, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm like that.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to like him. And
And I think she, at that time, she's pre-warning.
Yeah, she's basically I'm getting feelings. If you don't, that's cool. But, just tell me now, because I don't mind if, we're just fucking around. But if we're both going to be a thing,
right,
we need to both be a thing.
Are you coming or going?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, great episode. It was, and it deserves to be number one. I mean, I could have probably selected many more scenes.
Oh my God, so many.
That was
everything with the dicks was amazing.
Oh my God, the dicks are great. Warm and moist. Yep. Warm and moist every time. So final episode. Day Beers Day. Day Beers. Nose beers.
Okay, we do that all the fucking time. I'm sorry, I apologize, but we do that all the fucking
time. With our very good buddy Liz Orton,
who sat in for Dawn.
Yeah, Dawn.
Thank God for both of you, but just really happy that Dawn is getting better on the mend.
Definitely.
And really want to thank Liz for stepping in pretty last minute.
Yeah, very last minute.
A little bit.
Like an hour.
Yes, I'm like, no, she had a couple hours. She had enough time to watch the episode a couple times.
Yeah. Well, an hour's enough.
And she did fantastic.
She did. She was great. Love her. And musical guest, Brian Douglas Day. I picked the best music for this fucking episode.
Yeah, you did.
Because it was perfect. I mean, yeah, come on. Kind of basically told the story in a way about what was happening in that episode. So yeah, that was Brian. Brian gave us great music, which was perfect. So we had a question about this episode because this was episode 7 and it's, a little different from before.
And then the other big overarching one before I go into details, is this the holiday episode?
Yeah. Yeah, because there's only ever been an episode 7 when there was a holiday episode.
Yeah. And technically, Day Beers Day is Day Beers Day a day. Holiday.
Yeah, my guess
they
is
just used it to wrap up.
They wanted to have episode 7 to wrap up Dirks, and they needed a holiday, so they made up Day Beers Day.
I'm into it. I think it was yesterday morning. We were watching it, and I'm like, hold on a second. Was there a holiday in this season?
Yeah, I mean this wasn't a real holiday because all the other holiday episodes
They're one-offs.
Yeah, they're one-offs. There's nothing to do with the story arc that's gone on in that season.
Yeah, it has its own storylines that kind of pull from whatever has been happening, but it's not easy to pick where in the season it would have landed because it's not a direct line. Whereas this one, it's absolutely the season finale.
Yeah.
And also a holiday.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like real life. It doesn't really matter what else is going on. Everything stops for a holiday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which brings to mind another conspiracy. Maybe this actually happened before one of the other episodes. and
oh my God, you're going to make my brain hurt. Like literally as you're saying that, my eyes are already starting to cross. Like,
and she's forgiven him since then. You never know.
Shit.
Yeah. So, this, I voted for this quote as well because I think it perfectly sums up Wayne's feelings.
I am fucking dying for a piece of you.
Oh, hi, Big Daddy.
I am just dying to get you.
I feel like that's you too. Like you're like, I identify right now so fucking hard.
I am dying for a piece of you. I am fucking dying to get you. Yep. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And that was the season. I mean, it was a fantastic season.
It was a great season.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And it's fully explains why, it's Jared's favorite season as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
So great. Great writing, great story. And now you've set the bar high. I can't wait to see season 9. So
especially now that it's officially delayed.
Yeah.
Because what's
do we know it's officially delayed?
Well, it would have come out traditionally on July 1st. It is now July 10th as of this recording.
True.
So, and we still don't have a premiere date.
True.
So we don't
now,
know.
I will say that a July one that would have happened at this time for, I think that was season 7, was put to, was it season 7 or 6? It was put to October.
There was a delay. Yeah. And then there was a boom back to back, which very well could happen. Yeah.
Maybe it was 6, 7. I don't know, something like that. But anyway,
I think it was 7 and 8 were the ones that were back to back.
Yeah, maybe that's what
because it was I remember there being a short period of time between.
I wonder if they did that because we're not sure how this is going to go over. So we're going to give this in October, and then soon enough there will be 8, which we know is great. So,
maybe, I don't know. There's a lot of theories about that.
Because season 7, and I know we've talked about this before, was very
it was good.
It was very off brand.
Yes. Yeah.
So. Not what people
and we want
were used
like 300 seasons of this show, so we don't want any jumping the shark on season 7.
True,
right?
true. And and like we said, no clue at all on what's happening. We try to find out. I mean, there's folks that I talk to who are in the production group that, all the best I've ever gotten is soon. So that's it. And then,
there's been a lot of like bullshit clickbait articles coming out lately.
God.
So it's obvious that people are looking it up and asking. And so people are, here's what we know. We don't know anything.
Right.
Everything is, we still don't have a start date. We still don't have a.
Right.
We know.
They don't have anything.
They don't have anything. They have the same shit that we've known for 6 months where we knew that they were filming seasons, what are we at? 9 and 10. And we had pictures on the social medias from the actors while filming. So we know that there has been filming done, but then the world stopped. So theoretically it should still be stopped. But anyway,
yeah. But I mean, we're trying.
Yeah,
we're gonna keep on trying. So, and then also next, what we have is a great interview that we did and with
Kelly McCormack,
with one of our favorite Shamrockettes. I mean, they're both our favorite.
Absolutely.
But
we had to have the bookend pair.
Definitely.
So
Kelly McCormack, as you may know as Betty Ann. So enjoy your time listening to this because it's really fantastic. She's brilliant, beautiful, insightful. I mean, she's great. So
absolutely
enjoy your time.
Hey, wear a mask.
Please.
We want you to be around for our next season just as much as you want to be around for it. So wear a mask.
Take care now.
Bye.
I say I've been busy writing new songs made to.
Oh my! That's our good buddy Cole Fournier from the podcast called Super Fun Time Trivia. He's up there out of North Bay, Ontario. So got to have Canadians on when we're interviewing Canadians,
Hell
right?
Yeah.
So
we need more Canadian bands.
Yeah, definitely. I should have wrote those ones down from that Trevor gave us. Well,
just go back and listen.
I'll have to go back and listen. We talked for like 2 hours.
I know. So hopefully it was on record and not like before or after.
Yeah, it was. All right. So today we have an amazing actor known by our fans from Letterkenny as Betty Ann Puck. Mary Ann dueling puck flinger.
Take a breath.
Yeah, I know. I've been getting excited for this all day while I was at work, and I couldn't concentrate on work. So. Kelly McCormack, how are you now?
Woo! Great. That was the best intro ever.
Well, now normally what you have to say after "How are you now?" is "Good and you."
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's okay. You're a hockey player. You're not a hick.
That's true.
So
Sorry, I was more. I got now befuddled about your befuddledness. And I was like, I didn't quite hear you said. What do I say now? And I was like, good. Yes, good news.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm a terrible Canadian.
Not too
Terrible
bad.
Canadian, worst hockey player. Not true.
Well, yeah, because I did have a question for you about your hockey playing. Because we asked Jess, and she said neither of you were very good at it.
Well, I'd like to quantify and qualify our level of talent on the ice. I played hockey for one whole year of my life, and I skated for a long time, and then I stopped. And when we auditioned for this, they didn't ask us if we could play hockey. They wanted people who were the right actors and who had the comedy chops to do it. And obviously my first question when they hired me to play Betty Ann, I was like, well, who's Marianne? Like, who's Marianne? And they told me Jess was, and I had never worked with Jess, but I had sort of idolized her from afar. Not just as an actor, but as an activist and just a writer and an ultra cool babe sauce, wonderful human. Like, just the coolest, raddest chick. We've since worked together like so many times. But at that time we hadn't. So excited. And then they were like, anyways, so hockey. And I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can play. I played. I got on the ice. But Jess was like, I full on can't skate. So then we went to actually McCormack's rink in Toronto on Dufferin. And we had some fun, just the two of us playing hockey and trying to trying to learn how to skate, me trying to remember how to wear hockey gear and skate at the same time. But to the level that was that you see us on camera, we had doubles. So we don't come close to matching the incredible talent of the Sudbury hockey team that played as our doubles. There was a pretty casual feeling towards just being like, yeah, just jump on the ice. And I'd be like, okay. And Jess is looking at me like, they were very cavalier about not paying attention to whether or not we were handling it or not. They'd have all the girls in front of us, diving onto the ice, and then us would just be like, okay, stepping on surreptitiously and stuff. I played hockey for 1 year, and Jess didn't skate. So I don't think that
that's what I was going to ask. Is who of the two of you who was better? So it has to have been you then.
It was me. If she says otherwise,
no, she did not. She didn't say. She just said both of you were not comparable to
the actual
on a realm of worth mentioning, being hockey players and then us. We suck, but on a sliding scale of between that. I mean, I remember one day we were practicing at McCormack's rink and. There was this NHL dude who showed up and started just skating circles around us, but sort of doing it in a really aggressive, pseudo masculine, performative way. And her and I were just like, we get it. You can skate.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. We were like, okay, we're not going to sleep with you. We're trying to it's very funny.
I mean, maybe if you'd have come over and helped us and been nice,
right?
There's a possibility.
Yeah. We were like, calm down. You don't play for the NHL anymore. Take your midlife crisis elsewhere.
I see Kiso skate on the show, and Jesus Christ,
he can skate. Honestly, there's a scene where he does where he's chirping at us from obviously from behind, and then he does this jump to the left.
Yes.
Jump.
That.
And you can tell that scene is cut so quickly because there was not a take where we weren't laughing. We weren't laughing at just absurd because he ices one of the Sudbury players so well, and every time we just looked over at her face is covered in ice. It was crazy.
Oh,
I think that actually we've said that's one of our favorite scenes.
Yeah, just knowing that acting was his fallback.
Yeah. Sometimes he will just wander around the house and go, acting was his fallback.
I know, and it's so crazy, and it's funny because Jared Kiso, who I'm sure you know, is a prince among human beings. He is an alarmingly nice person to the point where you're like, am I a terrible person? Like, should I just leave? Because he's just such a kind person. So the first time you meet him, you have to adjust to the new reality of him not being like an irate asshole from the show. He's so kind. So kind that when he was chirping Jess and I in the, like when he was playing Shorzy, chirping us, he told us he couldn't look us in the eye because he felt too bad for saying what we were saying. And we were like, we can take it, bro. He was like, no, guys, I just would prefer not to say this to you, because telling you that you have like legs like redwoods, or telling you your breath smells like a dead body, or whatever the hell he says to me, he was like, I just can't do it. And we were like, how are you so good? Such a nice, like, it's the best acting performance of a lifetime, because he's so
yeah, I mean, him switching from Wayne to Shorzy, just listening to that in an episode, is nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
I don't know how he does that. So,
well, he does so many of the voices, and let's be honest,
the call-in voices.
First terrible voice that we ever heard Kiso do was that accent on Psych, and he's come a long way since that.
Yeah, I forgot about I don't know if you watched Psych at all. I mean, I know it was all shot up in Vancouver, but he was on an episode of Psych. He played an American. He was wearing, and he was even wearing like an evening formal dress.
And he talked like this.
It was like a young Thurston Howell III. So,
oh my god, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
definitely.
Do you have a favorite Kiso moment on set? Like something funny he did or said, just or just him being him, or?
Yeah, I remember when we first got to set, Jess and I were really nervous. Probably more so for this than you're always nervous when you're coming on as new characters on a show that already has an established vibe and a crew that knows each other. And it's kind of like a make or break, or what's the word? So it's sort of like how much you're on the show depends on how much you come out swinging out of the gate, right? So we and because the style of the show is so specific, we had prepared like crazy. Like we were up all night, like just running that first scene in the locker room with all like the biggest chirps, and we were so nervous. And we were taking it so seriously that I think we kind of forgot how disgusting and alarming some of the stuff we were saying was. And so we were taking it so seriously, and her and I are just tuned in, like, oh, let's try it again. Let's do it again. Let's keep running it. And I guess we kind of forgot that this was a big moment. These two female hockey players were coming on and chirping more disgusting, trash-talking chirps than maybe anything that had been said on the show yet, or maybe on television ever.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to counter any other person who said something more disgusting than like a Shar-Pei with palsy and a water ring in its mouth, or like the back of Kelsey Grammer's head.
Yes.
Signed by Bald Spot, signed by the whole cast of Frasier circa 1994. Like, I
and
still
different
remember
colored
every
lipsticks.
Line. Or Babe Ruth, the Babe Ruth glove. If
The Dirty 30s.
20 more dudes, the Dirty 30s, the Babe Ruth glove from the Dirty 30s. If 20 more dudes spat chewing tobacco in it.
and the way you deliver that, I mean, because it's so cutting and deadpan, you're just like. You're not even grimacing. It's just like this very.
No, that was important to us. We were like, this isn't even the most gnarly shit that these girls can come up with. So we're saying all this stuff, and then Jared, who is so kind, went around to all the female crew members and just said, hey guys, like, just want to check in. I know some things are being said. I just want to make sure you guys are cool with everything that's being said. And all the ladies are like, yeah, I'm cool with it. This is awesome. It's two women saying it to each other. You guys can't say it to us.
Right. Yes.
Well, and what's funny is the only word is the only kind of off-putting word, swear word, is mitt, which has never been used. I mean, but you fucking know what it's about.
Well, what was so funny is that I was reading the script and I was like, mitt. I think it means vagina. I just don't know. And then so I was like texting with Jess, being like, we're talking about like, and we're like screenshotting the script back and forth, and we're like, can we just we're talking about like a hoo-ha, right? Like that's what we're talking about. Like we were so, and then the day that she sent me, the day that we got the script that had the back of Kelsey Grammer's head circa 1984, if the whole cast of Fraser signed his bald spot with a red Sharpie, I read that. We both sent that one shirt to each other at the same time. And then when I started reading it, I'm not even kidding you guys, I started coughing. I was like, I started coughing. Never in my life have I started coughing from it was just, I feel blessed. I feel blessed that whole thing happened. And what was funny is that all the players, the hockey players from Sudbury, the whole team that's in the room with us, can't keep it. They can't.
Oh yeah.
They can't.
Well,
they can't stop laughing.
Yeah, Jess was talking about how she just could not ever keep a straight face. It
was fine when we were delivering it like out, but then when we had to face each other and do the whole like what rhymes with boat rhymes with smoke, and she just couldn't. It was very funny.
And and that was with Mark Ford right there. I could imagine him totally.
Oh my God.
Totally being, making you laugh more. Yeah.
He's impossible. Though I will say in the new season when we're in the gym and he's like in the new season when we're in the workout gym. Have you guys seen this? Yeah.
Season 8,
yes.
Yeah, season 8. And he's saying, because I never know what's out in America or in Canada yet. So I'm like, you guys have that.
I think it's within a week that once it's on, it starts on Crave and then it's here like 5 days later.
Yeah.
Right.
So theoretically 9 will be here in a couple months.
Yes. So you get into this mode where you sort of just like really just want to be those types of chicks who like have zero chill. So when we were in the gym and Mark was like saying like that girls couldn't play hockey, we never cracked. We were just like, what are you talking about? Like it just became,
I know,
especially with,
it was such a bad feminist vibe for that.
I know.
Because I'm like, oh, Mark, just shut up. Shut up.
I know.
Shut up. Quit. You were ahead and now you're falling down.
Yeah. But the cool thing about it is that they end up beating us, but then halfway through the game we stop and we're like, okay, you won. Now let's not use. And I think the redemption is that we're the better hockey players because we're like, yeah, ice time is expensive. Let's get to practicing then. You won the bet. We're going to be the coaches. So F you. Like, and I loved that Jared was like, we talked to Jared about that because we were like, how do we make sure this is redemptive for these characters? And he's like, well, at the end of the day, you guys end up being better coaches, which is just, and being coaches, so funny because obviously we're we got the W's. Like we're the winning hockey players. Right. We're the ones who should be the coaches. But when we were shooting it, of course, the Sudbury men's hockey team is sitting in the bench or whatever, and we're standing there, and like a lot of them like couldn't handle it. They kept like looking at us and just being like, "So wait," because they don't, it's not always not every extra or every like background performer knows like the whole full plot of the episode. So when we were standing there with Mark, they're like, whoa, so like, hold on, like, are you guys? And we were again in character. We're like, what's the problem? We're your coaches.
I love how your voices are different. Your real life voices are so different. I mean, because it's like you drop an octave, so it's just so great. I mean, because I kind of half expect some, because you Jess and you both play a lot of badass characters. So, and so so I expect that from you in real life. So hearing your high voice and you're laughing, and it's just so diametrically opposed of what you have, the image of the image in your head.
I'll take that A as a compliment for acting, but B, I will also say that on my first day of Letterkenny, I was so sick that my voice was about an octave lower. So then I was like, fuck, for the rest of this show, I have to be like, blah, 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 blah.
God. That's like, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying every character you sort of have to find what part of your vocal range does it feel like it's where the character sits.
Mhm.
And I love changing that up for characters. But yeah, I was sick. I was so sick. My voice was so low.
No.
And then I was like, oh well.
Well, it's kind of like, and I don't know if you watch Supernatural at all, which is all filmed up, and I mean, it's when it was Jensen who plays Dean. Like the first 3-4 episodes, he just talked in his regular voice, and then he's got this really like
for the rest of the series, he talks like this the whole time.
I will say that's like, I mean, I don't care. I've stopped caring about saying this stuff in public anymore, but that's definitely like a male actor thing. Like you see that a lot with dude actors where they're like, they talk normally and then they're like, I'm not Batman. And so I've sort of started like, you know, being like, well, why can't I do that? Like, why can't I just be like talking down here? And be like,
I mean,
what's up?
it's like,
What's
but it's
wrong with
like
that?
all the guys on that show now talk like that.
I know, but it's funny when you sit in audition, because I'm also a filmmaker. So anytime I sit in auditions and you know, men come in to audition like that are auditioning for a certain kind of character and have a certain perception of themselves, they just start talking normally and then suddenly they start acting. It's like, this is my acting voice.
Let's say,
now I'm shit talking actors.
Oh yeah, well, like even Misha Collins, who is seriously, I mean, he is super sweet. I mean, he built his own house up in Bellingham. I mean, with his two hands. Super sweet. Yeah, but he's a super sweet guy. I mean, and he kind of does talk like that in his real life.
He talks like you a little in real life. Like it's you know, masculine but not melodic. Low. Yeah, melodic. And in Supernatural, he talks, you know, scruffy like this.
Yeah, it's got
except when he's not.
That does happen a lot.
It's awesome.
Well, it's also the kind of writing that people write for men versus women. I mean, you look at when I as an actor, you see scripts, you get them all the time, and you see that men talk in definitive sentences. It's always ba 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 ba. They talk as if they're barreling towards a period and an important statement. Where with women, they're always giving it like, I mean, I'm not sure. I remember when the new Zelda game came out, and people were pointing out that there was a ... before every one of the female characters on the game spoke, because it was like she was thinking like she wasn't sure how to speak. And so, you know, there's these cadences that we associate with male characters versus female characters. So, and these are all things that I'm passionate about changing. So when you get into a position where you're playing a badass, trash talking, no bullshit, no sense of humor hockey player, you sort of want to capitalize on that. And so I was okay that my voice was so low.
No, that's cool.
I was talking like that, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, it's like even I don't know if you saw the new Birds of Prey movie, the Harley Quinn, which was very very feminist. I mean, it was
so just a little two things. One, I hated what was the first one? Suicide Squad. I hated it. I did not want to watch Birds of Prey until just about every one of my friends was like, no, this is not Suicide Squad. So that's number one. Number two, I've never liked Margot Robbie, and I was really nervous about her being Harley, and really nervous about her getting the rights to do Tank Girl, who's like my feminist icon. And after Birds of Prey, I'm like, okay, I can actually watch it without like prejudging what's going to happen. Because I thought she did really good with the source material.
Yeah.
Have you seen her in I, Tonya, though?
I haven't, but I have heard that she's really good in that too.
She's also a producer, and she's so smart about the roles that she takes. Like, I remember the first time I saw her in Wolf of Wall Street, I was like, yeah, wow, she's absurdly beautiful and really good. And at the end of the film, I thought she sort of outshined Leo at the end there with like some really intense scenes. And then I, Tonya was like, I mean, Margot Robbie, I just think she's almost so beautiful to a fault that's like it's hard, but she's such a talent.
It's distracting.
It's distracting, but I think when people look back at the choices she's made, that they'll see that it's someone who like really has a keen eye for story and character. And I'm excited to see what she does next. I, Tonya was hella good.
Good.
Check it out.
We'll have to check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
I did have a question, and this kind of goes back to the chirps. I have a question from our social media. Matches Malone from a Facebook group that he's in a Facebook group that we're members of, called Professor Trisha would literally shit a brick. But he was asking how often do you practice that chirping, and how I mean, how long does that take for you to get that all down in the way you're expecting? And then he says, like, really, how are you that rad? So
How am I that rad?
yeah, how are you that rad?
Yeah.
Oh, guys. Well, it is my job.
You're very good at it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, for me, I memorize things really quickly. I played a scientist on 3 seasons of a show called Killjoys, where I was responsible pretty much for all the exposition of the world building. So once that happens, where you're sitting in front of a computer, acting by yourself with a computer, spitting like crazy space science, you sort of get used to it. But it is hard. Like, I find I need to learn. I need 2 days in between before I shoot it, for it to really sink in.
2 days.
But just 2 days, like, just drill it. But then Jess and I, like I said, drilled it, so much, drilled it into our brains permanently, to the fact that I can still remember every single trick. I have no recollection of any other thing I've ever done. Like, I can't remember any, but I can remember Letterkenny locker room scene 1.
That's
like,
yeah, I understand. I still remember in high school we did Barber Seville in French, and I still remember.
I still remember lines from Romeo and Juliet from 9th grade.
Yeah, and I don't know what the lines meant. I just had them, and I had to learn to speak them, and I still remember them. I don't know what the fuck I was saying.
It's hard. Letterkenny's can be harder than other shows because the tempo is so specific.
It's very snappy.
It's like we're almost not even communicating. We're just like ba 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 ba. It's not like we're expanding on each other's ideas, which can sort of help you memorize something. And as the scene unfolds, it's more just rapid fire memorization. So yeah, I was just saying that shit in my apartment ad nauseum for days. Probably, pissing off my neighbors.
The fuck is she doing?
And then Jess and I at the Clarion in Sudbury, Ontario, up until like 1 a.m, just like, okay, go. Your mitt looks like your mitt looks like your mitt looks like your mitt looks like. And now and what's so funny is that now I use the term mitt all the time and I'm doing this baseball show, and so
yes, I was going to ask you about that. The League of Their Own series.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be on Amazon, right?
I know this.
I keep changing sports. So I shot the pilot for A League of Their Own with Abby Jacobson. It's her new show, and I play a gnarly trash talking shortstop. I've cornered a very specific niche, and I'm happy to stay in it, which is bitches who do sports and bitch at other people or something. So I keep making mitt jokes, and they don't, and no one seems to get it.
I hope you get to throw a mitt joke into this.
Hopefully.
So
I'm like, watch Letterkenny, come on.
Just got a little toss, little soft toss right up there.
It's so nice that Letterkenny's now on Hulu, because like so many people in the States are watching it, and every time people tell me, like, anytime I get stopped in LA for Letterkenny, I'm like, oh damn, you guys are watching that? Like, do you get the Canadiana of it?
Well, that's something we talk about a lot on this show. When we started watching it, it wasn't available in the United States yet. We quote unquote traveled to Canada to watch it, and
we definitely did never pirate anything.
Never. No. We don't do that. We watch Hulu like responsible.
I send it to you on a VHS in the mail.
Right, exactly. So when we first started, like, no one we knew really knew it, except for like the 1 or 2 people that we had learned about it from. And so we started the podcast with just a couple of friends, thinking we were just going to be talking about this show with our friends. And like, I would say within 6 months, when Hulu came out, about 6 months after we started. And I would say within a month of that, we had like everything blew up on our end. Like our viewers, our listeners went way up. Facebook groups, Twitter groups, like everybody was just so hungry for something so wholesome and funny. Like,
wholesome?
Have you seen American shows?
I guess so.
Because one of the things about the show is that it's, even though it's crude,
crudeness has nothing to do with whether or not it can be wholesome, in my opinion.
No, I mean, but because it's a surprisingly inclusive show.
Yeah.
I mean, with regards to sexuality, and acceptance and things like that. And, with regards to, having natives play native characters. And,
which doesn't usually happen in the United States.
Yeah. So, and they're all discussed. And discussed just as you would in a conversation with somebody who's like Squirrely Dan. It's probably the most woke guy in is always
and still makes mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a real person who's going on a growth journey.
So it's a great show.
Definitely Canada's. I'm always surprised to learn how much more progressive Canada is and can be about certain things, and the show definitely Trojan horses a lot of progressive ideas and gives you sort of, and so I think one of my favorite episodes is the one where the three main characters go and try and stop the people who are gay bashing in the town.
Oh yeah,
the DJs from Upcountry.
Yeah, and they're having a standoff, being you can't do that. It's they're having a totally Canadian bro conversation about about and also the hockey players calling us ladies, women, just all that stuff. You have to know that the show is the people behind Jared and Jacob Tierney. They're two very intelligent, very progressive, smart individuals who would have no interest in making a show that sort of proliferates bro culture beyond its an exhausted end, which it already is exhausted. So it's cool like that, and it's cool that people are stoked to watch it in the States because but it's more like the Canadian stuff. I'm like, do you guys get all these deep cut hockey references? These are all
that's probably not.
I'm learning about hockey.
That's something that we get asked all the time. Are you going to look up that one thing?
I come from a state where football is a religion. So
we didn't play those guys. Hockey bros are literally every guy I went to high school with. It's just I was the manager of the high school hockey team, and I played hockey for a year, but I was also their manager. And you just are around hockey, so hockey is and in the way that America's around football. It's just a trope at this time. These characters, the sort of inner drama, Ferda, all that stuff. It's
even our phone number for the show for people to leave voicemails is 304-50 Ferda.
So proud of that.
It's so funny because one of the questions I always get asked when I'm in Los Angeles is oh, you're Canadian, can you skate? And I'm like, yeah, of course I can fucking skate. What the fuck's wrong with you?
We come out with skates on.
I was it's very it's you can skate. It's truly the thing. They're learn how to swim, then ride your bike, then skate, and that's
that's within a week.
My mom definitely did that to me. I was born and raised in Seattle, but my mother absolutely, by 3 months old, I was in the pool. And by the time I could walk, I was on skates. So, and I had ice skating lessons until, boobs.
Oh, girl, I feel on that one. So many sports were so fun until boobs happened.
Right?
I tell you,
swimming was so much fun before boobs.
Oh, I know. I was a competitive swimmer, and I feel like the competing pushed the puberty further because it was such intense. And then it was what, boobs? Come on. Ugh. I could talk about this for hours.
Over here, kid. I got boobs for you.
Oh my God. I used to joke with my friends all the time about going in and scooping some out for them. Please, I will give you the ball.
Oh my gosh. We should have this conversation over much more alcohol.
Oh, hell yes. Oh my God.
Usually this is usually done with day drinking. So,
is there day drinking anymore or just drinking?
Are there days anymore?
Rules. There are no rules in the apocalypse. I've been saying that.
Yeah, my hangover brain is just my brain. I keep being is it because I drank 2 bottles of wine last night, or is this just the new reality?
Right? Is this anxiety dreams all night long so I didn't get decent sleep? Or
they say it's easier to quit heroin, so maybe that's
Then what?
God damn. COVID dreams are real though. They're so weird.
Yeah, I take medication to sleep now, so I don't remember any of my dreams. That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, I'm relatively sober.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So
every once in a while, he'll have an edible if he like hasn't slept in 2 days. I'm the medicated one.
I approve.
Hey, this is how I'm
You're
getting through
sleeping.
your podcast. Yeah. I'm sleeping, and
There
I
are no
feel
rules.
no.
I can have a glass of wine at 2 if I want to. That's when my office hours.
Well, it's going to be weird after
Hell
this
yeah.
is over. I mean, are we going to stay anarchists or?
I mean,
The things will keep.
Right.
Sleep. I just wonder if people are going to continue to sleep as much as we are. I hope so.
Oh, I wish I
back on
wish I
a
slept.
teacher schedule is going to kill me. I don't even know how that's going to work when that happens again.
Yeah.
Especially if it's going to, no.
See, none of this has changed for
Way that
anything.
school is
I
gonna
work
change.
from home.
Yeah.
I have for 10 years, and I'm an introvert.
The only difference is you are actually seeing friends more often because they're planning things like Cards Against
Online,
Humanity
yeah.
online. Whereas me, I'm the social one.
Yeah, I'm not a very social person, and I spend a lot of time at home. And I'm also a writer, so I work from home. And Jess is someone who knows this well. She knows that like I'll drop off the map for months. Like no one will see me for months, and she's normally good at getting me to come out a little bit. She'll be like, and then she'll tell people, she's like, Kelly probably won't show up for this.
I love you two guys together.
Yeah, she's the best. I love Jess, but yeah, I'm a big introvert too, but I feel like the world weariness and constant state of anxiety and doom and dread sort of makes staying at home less romantic for me.
I see your Instagram posts, and you're always in beautiful places.
Yes, traveling is a big deal in my life, a big motivation, artistic influence. Italy is a big inspiration for me, so it's been hard to see so many people, friends in Italy, going through what they've gone through. But yes, traveling is huge for me, and the outdoors. I mean, I'm from BC. I'm from Vancouver. I grew up like for 4 months out of the year on an island in the middle of the ocean. So when I'm not acting or writing or doing the filmmaking thing, I'm usually have disappeared to somewhere far away and forgot to tell people that are important to me.
Yeah. No, I get it.
I wish I could do that.
I know. Listen, I don't have kids, so I don't have kids, and I have pretty little responsibilities. But I'm aware that could change at one point in my life, so I'm just sort of skipping town when I can. But
yeah, my
Instagram is like full of just nature pics, and sometimes I'm like, should I promote my career more? And I'm like, nah, people want to see water. No, I don't know, right?
I'll go outside and see water.
Yeah. So what I was going to say was this was going to be my year to do a little traveling this summer because I wasn't going to work summer school.
I'm so sorry. Did you have anything booked?
Everything that was booked was paid back. It's fine. The one thing I'm still hoping,
except for Letterkenny Live,
that one I'm still really bummed about.
I bought VIP tickets.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. This
the
is
week
sort
before
of Letterkenny Live.
Yeah. Hey, we're working our way through the cast.
We're going to bring each and every one of you that we can get to the people.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah, and then just jump cut us, saying the same silly things. And
pretty much. Yeah.
I can't wait. I hope it happens. I hope that I get to interview Jared and have him stumble on the "How are you now?"
That's like his dream in life.
I'm sorry, I didn't even hear you say I'm sorry, but like
everyone's done it. Trevor did it last time. Jess did it. Like
it happens.
It happens all the time.
That's how, whenever we have a guest on, that's how we always start. Is "How are you now?" And invariably, I think we've only ever had one, maybe two that have been right on the spot.
In our regular episode, he asks me every time, and probably for the first whole season, I would be like, "Good in you," to make sure.
So good.
Hence the name "How are you now?" of the podcast.
So
glad to be here.
Earlier you mentioned Killjoys, and I'm not a television watcher necessarily, so I didn't see it when it was on Sci-Fi Channel, but it just ended, correct? Not that long ago?
Yes, we incredibly got to tie 5 seasons together and finish it like on our own terms. So it's 5 jam-packed seasons that I am in 3 of.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to have to look it up. Tell us a little bit more about the show for anybody, because a lot of Americans these days are starting to find shows that they missed because we have time.
Oh yeah, television. Okay, let me tell you about some television you guys can watch.
Yes.
Killjoys is about 3 bounty hunters in space, written by Michelle Lovretta, who wrote Lost Girls. It's funny. It's sort of like the tone of Firefly. If you guys watched Firefly,
Oh yeah,
big nerds, big nerds.
So it stars Hannah John Kamen, Aaron Ashmore, and Luke McFarlane, and so just Hannah John Kamen, amazing actor, and then 2 Dreamboat incredible dudes on either side, just being, so they create this really cool, fun trifecta of human beings. And then the cast is also stacked with like Rob Stewart and Tom Allison and Sean Bick, and it's a very fun show. It doesn't take itself seriously. The comedy is really, really well written. It has that sort of every episode's like a different mission sort of thing, and then some really beautiful arcs that happen over the 5 seasons. I come in season 3 playing this nerdy, arrogant scientist from a colony, like an ex-farm girl. I'm sorry, I don't even know who the hell my character was. I was an ex-farm girl. With space shows, like things get so out of hand that you're like, what was I?
Right.
Basically the science nerd who's arrogant and doesn't have a filter and is really weird and sort of brought on as like their new little annoying little sister, and ends up becoming sort of an integral part of the Team Awesome Force, which is the team of bounty hunters that start bringing people in as bounty hunters, but of course end up sort of being in charge of saving the universe. And the show is really well written. The showrunner, Adam Barkin, also an incredible writer himself. It was like the best experience on set of my life. We were a huge family, and the chemistry of the show is really great. And when I meet Killjoys fans, it's really exciting because I think it's the show that people will discover years from now and be like, damn, Killjoys was so good. It's like Firefly in that way, you know, but except for we got to do 5 seasons and finish our story arc.
You actually got to wrap it up.
Haha, Joss Whedon.
No, sorry. We get to
I hear he's doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
Okay.
We're like the Firefly that finished. You know?
I like it.
Oh man,
I like
I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm such a nerd. I'm like a huge sci-fi fan myself and fantasy nerd. Like I grew up playing Dungeons and Dragons and collecting magic cards and all that.
You can see what's in the background. We've got our minifigs over there and a couple of different.
The amount of people who are like, okay, well, I guess we'll never have scheduling problems for our D&D campaign because we're going to do it on Zoom every Sunday. And I'm like, God damn it. Because like I always tell people, I'm always like, you have to choose wisely if you're going to choose an actor to be in your D&D campaign because their schedule is like non-existent and they're not in control of it. So I've been very annoying in the D&D campaigns that that I have participated in and been asked to, but now everyone's like, I know you're home and you can do this. They're like,
you're not being anywhere. Log in. So yeah, awesome. I mean, speaking of the sci-fi stuff, you and 2 of your castmates were also in a very favorite show of ours, The Expanse. I mean, I love. I mean, it's like Tio had like a couple of scenes.
Yeah, we saw Tio. It was just like wait, is that rewind it? It is.
And then it was you, and you were, yes. she was a guard for like just like a couple of scenes. I don't even know if she had a speaking role.
I don't
except for get in.
Yeah.
And then you were in like I think two episodes, or was it 1?
No, I think I was just in 1.
Okay.
With Atticus Mitchell, who's also my like co-star in Killjoys. Nice. So yeah, Canadians, we make the rounds in space.
We've heard, definitely heard.
Well, I've looked at enough IMDb's that I've seen. Oh, yeah, they were in that, of course. Yeah.
I think if anyone looks a little too closely, you'll see that Canadians have cornered the market on space. Yes, we're all prepared. It's pretty hilarious, actually. The crossovers, and it's funny because sci-fi fans make such a big deal about crossover characters, and yet I'm like, dudes, all of Canada is one big crossover. Like, I was on Defiance beforehand, which is another sci-fi show with Anna Hopkins. And then Anna Hopkins came on Killjoys, and then she went on The Expanse, and then I went on The Expanse, and then Jess was like, it's like it's just crazy. So I was on The Expanse with my co-star from Killjoys, who he plays Pippin, and then the two of us were, I don't know, taking down a ship, fucking shit up. You know, I don't. We were Martians, being all not sure what's going on in the big picture, but like we have our own motivation. And I tried to like take down a ship. Lots of drama, lots of guns, lots of seriousness. It was pretty funny though, because Atticus and I were sitting there like in spacesuits in a spaceship, being like, this feels like it feels like Killjoys. It looks like Killjoys. I know I'm in space, but it's not. No one's laughing. Just a little Killjoys is so irreverent and like pokes fun at itself, and The Expanse is not at all.
But I mean the writing for The Expanse. I mean the book's based on
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's just not.
It's incredible.
A totally different tone than Killjoys.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
I kept trying to crack jokes and be like, man, this is not. This is all serious all day.
Yeah.
Dean has gone on rants before about comparing Wayne to Amos too. So that we can totally see the parallels in the character.
I asked Jess, I said, who would win in a fight, Amos or Wayne? And she was like, oh my God. I don't think she had an answer.
That is so funny. It's funny because, it's funny because like Amos is like, it's Wes. The actor's name is Wes.
Wes,
right. So Wes is so much like Wayne in a way. Like he's just like a really like, I forget where he's from. I think he might be from.
He's from he's from the South. I think I want to say he was from
South.
He was like in was it I want to say it was Alabama or something like that almost.
Yeah, he's just like, a really kind, like, but straight talking country boy. And so he sort of feels like Wayne in real life.
Yeah.
But like obviously not like, I mean, doesn't talk like him. But yeah, so I don't know who would win. That's a good question.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing that we have
That's
a lot
of crossover I want to see.
we do have a theory about Wayne,
right,
and somewhat about Amos that they fall on the autism spectrum. Just the way they react to things and act in their daily lives. It kind of feels like she is educated.
I'm autistic, and for a very long time before I was diagnosed, I liked to joke that I was autistic, with autism being my special interest, because I probably spent 20 years studying it, not getting a degree on it ever.
Interesting.
Yeah, so a lot of people in actually autistic communities, when they talk about TV characters, most of the time it's, I hate this character because it's a stereotype. Whereas,
the good doctor.
The good doctor. Whereas when we watch Letterkenny, and we know that this isn't intentional, but a lot of the mannerisms and things that Wayne does and says are very, very, how do I say this? They're very autism-like. The way that he gets uncomfortable in things that aren't quite how they're supposed to be, and just like little things like that, like sensory processing things that we know that Jared probably isn't going, well, Wayne has an issue with something, so he's doing this because it's getting the energy out of his body, but really that's what he's doing. Like, scooping the hay from one side to the other just because he's frustrated. That's absolutely something that someone on the spectrum would do. So
you would like, I mean, I appreciate everything you're saying. And, my mother is a teacher for kids with autism. So these things are the things you're obviously not like a lifetime experience with it, but you would like Killjoys for this reason. And the character that I play on Killjoys, I had a lot of fans reach out to me and ask if I had made the choice to make the character someone living with autism or someone who was on the spectrum. And, a lot of Michelle Lavretta's theory about the show is in the future. Her idea is like, if this is going to be the future and I'm going to write a story in the future, then I want it to be better than today. And so she's created a world where where today someone's sort of disabilities, quote unquote, are superpowers in the future. So the character that I play on Killjoys has such a narrow focus on science and such a breathtaking intensity and focus to it that she has a hard time truly being able to see how maybe arrogant she's being, or how like focused she's being, and has a hard time emotionally connecting to people because outside of this focus and this passion that she has, and the comedy of her characters, that she misses things a lot because she doesn't see that she's coming across like an absolute asshole, or someone who's like sort of like, what's the problem? Like, this is what I do and this is what I'm good at. So like there's something interpersonal that she misses because she's so focused on her superpower, which is the reason they need her and the reason why she becomes such a instrumental character. So, I had a lot of fans reach out to me who had said, that they were on the spectrum or that they lived with autism, and that they wanted to know if this was a choice that I had made. And Michelle and I were pretty open about it, being like, it wasn't like, okay, this character lives with autism, but it was like, this character has a superpower that you recognize, that I can recognize in people I know with autism, which is that intense focus and passion for maybe like one direction, and maybe less or less interest in moving towards another direction and needing things to say a certain way. Like Zeph's lab is very much what you're talking about with Wayne's, with the haystacks.
Yeah.
She's like, put that down.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
Yeah, the cool thing about Killjoys is that it's probably I think it's probably the most progressive sci-fi show I've ever encountered. Like, there is no discussion of every character is not straight, like, until proven. Like, it's like everyone's fluid. There is no like race. All right,
my favorite show.
It's all in there. I'm telling you. Like that's
the future I want.
It's the future. And if you read Michelle Lovretta's writing about the show, you then know that you're in safe hands, because you're like, oh, okay. I appreciate if you just go to her Twitter, read some of her interviews, and you'll encounter the mind of someone who you'd want to live in for 5 seasons. That's my last point on Killjoys. Woo! Letterkenny and Killjoys and Canadian content. Woo!
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly enough, the only folks of the other shows that I watched from Canada were not on Schitt's Creek.
Yeah, I've never been on. I was not on Schitt's Creek. I auditioned for it a hell of many times.
Really?
But,
I wondered, everybody wants to work with the Levies.
Yeah, everyone's auditioned for Schitt's Creek. There was a time where everyone had auditioned for Rain, that show on CW. Right?
I don't.
Yeah,
that's a channel you watch.
I don't know. It's a show about like the tutors, and that was shooting here, and so every woman had auditioned for Rain. And then you mentioned Supernatural. Like, I grew up in Vancouver. I've been auditioning for Supernatural since I was like 15 fucking years old.
like Tyler.
Never got on that show either.
Yeah, he was on the season 1, episode 5 was his show.
Oh, damn. And it's like Smallville too. Those shows were institutions. And then I was an extra on Battlestar Galactica for like 2 summers when I was a teenager.
They're not doing a new one.
I've been in a spacesuit for a long time.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I love seeing, like Tyler was the first one of the cast that we've talked to, and I was like, I really want to talk to Tyler because I've been a Supernatural fan since it started, and so it was kind of cool, because I think he was like 15 at the time when he did that, and then he was on again. Like,
that makes sense because it's been on for 100 years.
100 years. Yeah. It's still
17.
Like, is it?
Yeah, it's still on.
This is the last season though. Right now, it's like season 17 or something
15.
like that, right? 15. Okay. Yeah.
And we call it super duper natural. Jeez.
Yeah, Geritol natural.
I mean, especially because the characters are like the character of Dean Cannon, like watching the episode, is exactly 1 year older than me, which is not true of the actor. But so watching this, I'm like, how are they still doing it? I'm 41 and broken, and that's.
They didn't have a pandemic to contend with.
True,
maybe they had.
True.
Only demons.
Well, they had a couple of end of the worlds, and I think both of them went to hell a couple of times.
They haven't had murder hornets yet.
They did not. That's
oh my god! When I got that push notification on my phone, I was like, for fuck's sake!
It's Jumanji,
oh, man.
It's just Jumanji.
Yeah,
murder hornets.
I got a meme today. It said, 2020. But wait, there's more.
Oh man.
So we were talking about how there are so many what's the word, where you all work together on all these different shows up in Canada. Who have you not worked with that you would love to work with?
Oh, I mean, good question. I'm in a I'm in a pretty good position in that if there's someone I haven't worked with and I want to, I just cast them in one of my projects.
There you go.
I have a film coming out called Sugar Daddy, which there's a scene where both Dio Horn and Jess are both in together as my friends. And they play Jess plays a totally different person. But so if there's someone I haven't worked with yet, I sort of make it happen. But that's a good question. Who have I not worked with? I mean, again, like Cara G from The Expanse was a good friend of mine. I wanted her to be I wanted to work with her, so I put her in the show I produced called The Nados of Duquesne Island. So there's that. Like I just sort of,
that's fantastic.
I kind of make it happen. Who do I want to work? I mean, there's so many people I want to work with. I think I would continually work with Jess and Dio and Cara and Anna Hopkins, and like there's a crew of female actors in Toronto that I would just keep putting in stuff. Like I just keep wanting to do it. Awesome. I mean, oh man, I'm trying to think if there's an actor from Letterkenny that I'd love to work with, but then I'm like, well, then I worked with them. What the hell? It's a hard question.
Yeah, I mean, because in 7 you're with Tio in there, so yeah, Tio is probably she's probably my first crush of Letterkenny because she's so fucking badass.
Absolutely,
Tio is Canada's first crush.
Oh God,
damn,
yeah,
she is the crush of Canada right now.
I mean, she's beautiful, brilliant, badass. I mean,
she's funny as hell. Yeah. She's the most. Dio is like, there's just no one like her. And I don't know if Jess told you this crazy story, but when we first worked with her, did she tell you this story?
I don't recall it.
Probably. It's not my story to tell, okay. So I can't really tell it. So you might just have to ask her to explain it. Or Jess and I did like a Reddit AMA. You can listen to it.
He was the mod.
I'm one of the mods on the Letterkenny subreddit.
So she sort of spells it out. But the day that we got to set, or the day we got to Sudbury and we were working with Dio that week, Dio was like, I'm so happy some women are here. And then we were like, yeah. And she's like, I'd like to have you guys over for soup. I'm going to make you some soup, some butternut squash, homemade, at my little house that she'd rented, like a little house, Airbnb house for the duration of the shoot. And she's like, come over for wine and we'll have a gal hang. It'll be so nice. I've been surrounded by dudes for the last month. Let's do it. So then, and Jess and I like both didn't know Dio, but obviously knew of her and knew that she was rad as shit. So we went over there, brought a bottle of wine. She said she made dinner. She made dinner. She put out. It was like so. Like it was. I can't even tell you. We had this like long discussion about like what it means to be women and actors, and like just deeply. Like Jess is a very in tuned person. Like she is. Like I'm not. I wish I was more like this, but because she's in my life, I don't have to worry about it. Because I'll be like, okay, tell me what do I have to know about the universe, Jess? Like, tell me. She's very in tuned. So we're having this like deep conversation. Then Jess and Dio go outside for a second, and I go to the bathroom, and then Jess full on like faints. Like she fainted on the front steps, and it's like snowing. It's like 4 feet of snow, and she passed out. And apparently she has this like sugar level thing where she just passes out sometimes. We didn't know. And then I come around the corner. And Dio is like banging on the glass, and she's holding Jess, and Jess is passed out. Anyway, blah blah blah. The paramedic, we had to call an ambulance because she was like out cold. Yeah. And we were like, oh no. And we're supposed to shoot tomorrow. And these paramedics show up, and this woman and this man show up, right? And they come barreling in the front hallway. And the one woman is like, she's so intense. She looked like she was in a paramedic show. That was my first thought. I was like, wow, this girl is going to get the part. She's going to get the part on that medical show, she's killing this badass paramedic thing. So she comes in and she was like, what drugs is she on? We were like, oh no, she's not on any drugs. And she was like, guys, this is my 8th overdose today. What drugs is she on? And we were like, and then Dio's standing there in her bathrobe, and she's like, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but she's not on any drugs. We just had a glass of wine, and we're just I made them soup. Like, it's fine." And then she was like, "Guys, like, don't fuck around. Like, time to tell us, like, what drugs have you guys taken? All this shit." And then Dio goes, she's like, this isn't, we're actors. This is an Airbnb. And she just yells, we're actors. This is an Airbnb. As if that was like a sensible explanation for
cocaine.
Why we were on drugs. And then she looks up. She's like, we're actors. This is an Airbnb. We're on Letterkenny. And then literally both paramedics turn to us and they're like, Letterkenny? And we're like, ah. So then they get Jess in the back of the ambulance. And I go in the front of the ambulance. I've never ridden in an ambulance before. And then the one paramedic, the guy, just starts telling me how much he loves Letterkenny. And he's like, and I'm asking about his job. And like, I'm like, yo, man, like, what's the schedule like? And whoa, like, that's intense. Like, what are your dreams for the future? Like, what's like, and Jess is in the background talking to the other paramedic about Letterkenny. And then like we go to the hospital, and then our producer shows up and was like, you know, took care of the situation, and she got better, and we were on set the next day on the ice. I'll never in my life forget Dio just being like, but we're actors. This is an Airbnb. We're not on drugs.
I hate that the first thought that I have was our American listeners are going to go, you got in an ambulance and you were okay? You actually let them take you away?
Oh yeah.
Because
fuck,
that would be like $1,000 here.
Yeah.
If not more.
If not more.
They require, no. Ambulances are like a car ride that is free in
That's
Canada.
what they should be.
you going to call an Uber? No, I'm just going to call an ambulance.
Right?
No. I mean, you call, it was also sort of like, Dio and I had this moment where we were like, should we call an ambulance? No, she's going to be fine. I don't think she's going to be fine. Should we call? Let's call. Okay, let's call. And we're just like trying to like figure it out. And I was calling her sister. It was just like the funny part was that it was such a beautiful evening that took a very quick turn. And it was like so lovely. And then suddenly we were being yelled at, like, what drugs are you on? I'll never forget it. That's how I met Dio. And then the next day on set, we just were like telling everyone, like, guys, and then the funny thing is those paramedics started following us on Instagram. Oh man, it was good. Anyway, I probably said too much. I basically
that was a great story.
I was like, I can't tell this story. It's Jess's story. And then I was like, meh, I'm telling it. She didn't tell it.
She was passed out for all of it. She didn't remember.
Right. It bonded Dio and I for life. It bonded all three of us for life. So
that's awesome.
And the next day we were like, we were heading at the hospital till 2 a.m, but we're here.
We are professionals, goddammit.
Yeah, we're professionals.
It's one way that me and my best friend became best friends in high school. Guarding over her to make sure nobody preyed on the poor drunk girl that was passed out in the corner. And that was I'm not going to name any names, but she was in my wedding.
Yeah.
Right? Oh man.
You gotta invite them to your wedding, otherwise they got dirt on you.
Yeah, and a couple of those stories came out at the wedding too.
Oh, well,
do you remember Tim?
Yeah. And that's what happened when you have a best friend who's just totally a gay best friend who's totally drunk.
Yes,
he turned.
Let me tell you this story. My God, I love you. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it all came out today.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: if had you gotten a part on Letterkenny, but it wasn't. You know, if the characters Marianne and Betty Ann had not been created, but you were going out for any other part on Letterkenny, which would you prefer to have?
Oh man, if we weren't created,
any existing.
I mean, I probably something dude like, gnarly bro like. I think I'd still want to be like a bro of sorts. Okay. I don't know. Probably like one of the hockey bros,
like a Riley or Jonesy.
Oh God. Well, see, Dax and Ron. I love Dax and Ron. Yeah, because it's
my
like
God. Dax and Ron kill me.
oh
They
God,
absolutely
yeah.
kill me.
I mean, because
Oh man, I cannot with those two. I cannot with those two. I cannot. They're the hardest. When he's like, oh man, every time he says Ferda, I cannot. They're so funny.
Yeah, well, see, because I initially I was seeing you as the inverse of Riley and Jonesy, but you're more Dax and Ron, definitely.
Yeah,
because you're both smarter. Because Riley and Jonesy like share a brain cell.
Yes.
So
Dax and Ron are both smart in their own right.
Also, I'm sure everyone is picking up on the very real and pulsating sexual tension between Betty Ann and Marianne.
I love how much you just said that, because I literally got a text from somebody as we were talking. Ask her if there's any sexual chemistry between her and the other actress.
Hell yeah.
I mean, that's headcanon for me, for sure.
Oh my God. All that Shoresy stuff, all that that was all just a decoy. Some sort of like weird manifestation of our outward love, our inward love for each other. Yeah, we're still waiting for Betty Ann and Marianne to have our,
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, I can understand Shoresy for a quick romp. I mean, he's not keeping material.
Look how he skates. Come on.
Exactly.
He's not fighting over material for damn sure.
Definitely not.
No. But yeah, there obviously is an undercurrent of love between us and deep sexual tension that has fueled all of our anger and rivalry, as best rivals are made with sexual tension.
Yes.
We're just waiting for that phone call and that script. Until then, we will stay bitter rivals.
So are you gonna be in season 9?
I don't know. You sort of find out. Oh,
The upcoming season.
Oh no, I don't think so. I don't know. I actually don't know how because we shoot in you shoot in 2 blocks, so I never know which season we're actually shooting, because it's like just map, like it's such an engine that goes. So I don't know which season we're in next.
Well, I like how they make jokes about what season it is. I mean, it's snowing outside and it's supposed to be
March,
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
So
it's hot in October.
I don't even know. I couldn't even give you a spoiler on Letterkenny because, I don't even know. I'm like, I don't know which season we're in. It's sort of the show is shot so grip and rip, it's just so quick and dirty and fun, and so we never you just get a phone call and then someone picks you up in a car and drives you 4 hours to Sudbury in a snowstorm, and then you stay at the Clarion and then you say a bunch of gnarly shit and then they drive you home in a snowstorm. I'm not even kidding you. One time we drove home in a snowstorm with the actors that played Ron and Dax, and we were in the car for 8 hours because the snow was so bad that we were driving at a crawling pace. And it was just this is our weird job. This is what being an actor in Canada is. You get driven to a remote location in the middle of nowhere in a giant snowstorm, and to get home you have to, basically go through the Revenant, and then you'll get home and you'll be like, what just happened?
It's a whirlwind.
It's a whirlwind. It's the Revenant. It's basically the Revenant.
Yeah.
I'm not really helping with Canadian stereotypes right now. But.
Well, I think wasn't that the Leo movie that he finally won an Oscar for? What was?
Oh,
yeah, the Revenant
with the bear.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
With the bear, that's all I remember.
You get attacked and raped by a bear.
Yeah,
oh, really? I've not.
Yeah,
I just know it was shot in Calgary.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got tossed into Banff Springs, and the bear had his way with him. Yeah, that actually did happen.
It really? I haven't seen that.
Because he flipped him over.
Yeah. It's a really weird. Yeah.
Leo has been so desperate for an Oscar.
A bear for an Oscar.
So I'll have a bear fuck me.
Oh wow! I did not know. Wow, this took an interesting turn.
I mean, yeah.
Speaking of interesting turns, this is who knew? Who knew we'd cover this base? Thank God we did.
Yeah. So now that that's out of the way.
Now that we've covered that base, the point is everything we shoot in Canada is cold all of the day, or in space. We're in the snow or in space.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all. All Canadian shows are either in space or in the snow.
Or
is that what? Yeah.
Or they're fighting demons.
Or in the woods. They're in the woods somewhere.
They're fighting demons in the woods.
Fighting demons in the woods, yeah. Or serial killers.
Yeah.
No, we got the serial killers here in Seattle.
We do have the serial killers here.
And the lake monsters. Come on. Oh, no, that's in Penticton.
British Columbia has the Ogopogo.
Which they stole from Loch Ness.
I'm sure that somewhere along the line, there's some Scottish family that immigrated to central BC. What is BC now? And it's like
lots of Scots.
That bump in the lake is totally a cousin of that one that I saw back home. So there we go. I don't know.
There can be many lake monsters.
Yes.
Right? There can be many lake monsters.
Are there Irish lake monsters?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You need to start listening to lore or something like that.
Actually, you've got, I think out of everybody on the show, you've got the most Irish name.
Oh, Kelly McCormack.
Hi.
Yes, I'm hella Irish and hella Scottish. But I'm actually 5th-generation Canadian. Like, we go way back, but then we go back to Scotland and Ireland. So I'm Kelly McCormack, and then on my mom's side, it's Kelly Campbell. So I couldn't be more
Campbells.
I couldn't hate the sun more.
Exactly.
Like, I go to LA and everyone's like, oh my gosh, what's that California like? Are you happy you moved there? I'm like, I hate the sun and the heat. So no, but I'm happy that it's Hollywood. Woohoo!
Which is why I'm happy that I'm not in Texas or California anymore.
Yeah, like I'm from Vancouver, guys. Like I want overcast rain all day.
Today would have been perfect for you. It was cloudy all day, and then there was a massive rainstorm, and now it's blue skies outside.
That's my jam.
It's beautiful.
That's my jam.
Yeah. That the heat and the no.
Hard no.
Hard no.
No. I can't even. Like, I'm a vampire.
Yeah.
We are twins.
In real life, where would you find yourself if you in real life was a character on Letterkenny? Like, do you think you would be a hick, a skid, a native, hockey player, or Christian?
I think I'd be a hockey player.
Yeah.
Like, I think I played so much sports growing up, and competitive, and I mean, it's probably why I play so many characters that play sports and so many other shows. But I'd be one of the hockey dudes, maybe. But maybe not as, like, ignorant. I don't know. I grew up sort of very outdoorsy, so maybe a hick between a hick and a hockey bro. Somewhere in between a hick and hockey.
Now you're very, very, very pale and blonde, so you could also be a dick.
I could also be a dick.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't have that on the list.
No, that's because that was
Mennonite.
That was,
Mennonapper.
The Mennonappers.
Mennonever. Is that what you just said?
I said Mennonapper, but yes, Mennonever is better.
Mennonever.
Fuck. Sarah Wayne Callies. It was fucking brilliant. She's so good.
You gotta. Aren't like the alt-right bros on that list too?
Oh God, yeah, the hard right Jays.
Oh yeah,
the hard right Jays. I want them to come back. Like, they were so funny.
Jay Baruchel, I love. I mean,
I want them to come back, but I want them to come back. How do I say this?
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Well, so there are a lot of people who, when we've found in the Letterkenny fandom, that don't see the Canadianness of shows. One of the things that, so not that long ago, there was a mass shooting in Canada, and a lot of Americans were like, what, they have guns there? And like what I usually say is, they have guns, but they just don't worship them the way that Americans do. So
no, it's not in our constitution, and we also just got rid of all of them. I'm not sure if you know that.
In a day,
banned them. Yeah,
because I may not like Trudeau that much, but I fucking respect him so much for that.
I mean, he's doing very well right now. Like I have a lot of respect for what he's done during this difficult time, and Canadian gun culture is really more related to historical hunting culture in the country. And we have a lot of guns here from hunting, but it's not the same sort of it's not like a personal right. And I personally have no problem saying like it also should not be a hobby. Like I'm like, find another hobby. There's other hobbies.
I mean, the Swiss can do it, and they have a very good gun culture which teaches responsibility, and it's really just for shooting. I mean, not anybody.
So where I was going with that is there was a period of time after the Hard Right J episode that a lot of people were like, well, he's not that bad, and you started seeing memes. I know you started seeing memes pop up with like Wayne photoshopped with an AR-15 in his hands and shit. And like, those are people who just do not get that this show is almost making fun of them in a way.
Yeah.
It is it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
not with the guns in particular, but it absolutely is making fun of American culture in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I mean, especially. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was to say the whole show is based on stereotypes, right? That we're sort of exploiting and relying on in wonderful ways. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess it might be hard for certain Americans to understand that if Canadians are poking fun at like alt-right, we're really poking fun at it because we're like, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hard no.
You know, but when you look at the fall of Rome that is happening in the United States right now, you know, a lot of the things.
I wouldn't call it Rome. Rome was like 500. Rome was every time people are like Rome, I'm like, Rome was in power for like 500 years.
True. We got like what, 200, 300? Not quite.
Well, I mean,
giving the fall of Rome maybe gives Trump a little too much credit. But
I started saying fall of Rome though. No, you are not allowed to do that. You are not allowed. We have talked about that.
I'm so very sorry.
Stop it. He thinks I'm joking, but it's gross. I don't want to fucking hear Trump in my house. Damn it, I lost my train of thought now. Thanks.
Sorry.
We were saying fall of Rome, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. So I was saying that more of America has always looked at itself as being like Rome, that, you know, the epicenter of all of this, you know, political bullshit and always being everyone else's big brother and all of that. So when I say fall of Rome, it's more the idea, the mentality. I hope that is
Rome
dying.
I think it's just because Rome was the richest.
Yeah.
You know, that's where all the wealth
America
was.
had the lie of being the richest. America is like, there are 100 countries that are better than America in every single fucking way.
Well, I think that we have more billionaires than anybody else.
That's true, but it's also the only world. It's the only world power that ever became the world power, not through violence. I mean, the reason it became the world power is because every other nation was bankrupt after the Second World War. So London seceded its power to America after the Second World War, but not through violence, just through we're exhausted, we've spent all our money in a war. And oftentimes, you know, Americans will talk about the Second World War in, you know, 1941. I'm like, well, we were in the war in 1939. Like, so it's like I think, I mean, not to get too political because it will get me into trouble, but I also don't care about those things anymore. So whatever. I think I always find it weird or odd or uncomfortable when I hear American politicians that I even respect and like say like, oh, this is the greatest country in the world.
Right.
And because as Canadians, but as Canadians, to be Canadian means that you would feel uncomfortable making that sort of statement, because that is one of the things I'm proud of being Canadian is that it's full of a group of people, full of a population of people who would never make that statement. It's just not, it's not
your culture.
You would never come. It's not in our culture to say we're the best. We're saying we're good among many and we could improve. And that's part of the sort of profile of like the polite Canadian. We just would never say we're the best country in the world, because like if someone walked onto like the schoolyard and was like, I'm the best student at the school, chances are he's probably fucking not. And so, you know, I think it's
well, Wayne is the toughest guy in Letterkenny though.
But like
that's
that sort of platitude it's so transparent and it doesn't make sense to me. And that's where I think that, as you said, that Roman mentality of like the fall of Rome, it all suggests that it was at a high level. I mean, of course, powerful military might, financial might, all that, but like if the whole world is some sort of habitat, then every every nation has its own strength. And that's sort of like the idea behind socialism, the idea behind socialized democracy, like we are in Canada, is that like you don't have to be the strongest, you have to be good at whatever you bring to a larger habitat. So I hope, but I mean, the whole country was based off of that mentality. So I don't know how it lessens without toppling something major, but
I think it has
figuring it out.
There are most of the people that I know are really hoping for a massive change, a massive topple from the top. I mean, and I don't want to see this country devolve into what it probably will, but like if we're not on the verge of a civil war right now, I don't know when we ever would be. Like half of the West Coast is probably the closest to seceding right now because all of the governors of the West Coast and a couple other governors have started saying, no, we're going to do this together with this group and not with you.
Viva Cascadia.
So, yeah, well, I don't think we can call it that because the white power people took that name.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah.
It's an interesting concept because I remember telling this to someone saying, well, to be Canadian means not to say that you're the best. And they're like, well, why would you be proud of being a country that you don't think is the best? And I was like, because there are so many other good qualities beyond thinking you're the best. Like, it's just not, it's sometimes difficult to explain the countenance of a Canadian, the difference of our, because we have things that, like, you know, we don't have capital punishment. We have had gay marriage in our country since, like, I think the 60s. We've had, our relationship with medicine, our relationship with socialized institutions, like, it just rewires a mentality that is more communal and more, I think, more sustainable. But it's hard when people are like, well, shouldn't you want to, like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to, because then what? Because then you go, I'm American and I'm from the greatest country in the world. I'm like, well, I'm Canadian, I'm from the greatest fucking country in the world. And then what? We fight? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, shouldn't I be like, Canada's great. It has some work to do in many issues. You know, like it's not perfect. We're trying.
There is no perfect, but if you're not taking care, like, at least in Canada, you know that for the most part, people are getting the base needs taken care of. You know that even if the healthcare takes a little longer or whatever complaint that, you know, Americans come up with, you get it.
Yeah, I mean, they had a doctor from Canada go and testify in front of Congress and say, and she said no.
That's why I was like, whatever American made up that lie, or Russian, whatever.
The amount of times people will be like, yeah, but you can't choose your doctors. Yeah, but it takes forever. I was like, do you want to watch me? Let's do it. I whip out my phone. I'm like, let me call my doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it's not everyone has equal access. Obviously, our Indigenous population in the northern part of Canada doesn't even have access to clean drinking water. So it's not like we're like, Canada's the fucking best about all its medicine and its access to medicine. But yeah, it's definitely different. Like, to bring it back to Jess passing out at Dio's house, that fucking ambulance showed up in like a minute.
Yeah, that would never have happened.
And cost us $0.
I bet we're shittier to our Native Americans.
Well, you know, there's historical.
Let's see who's best at
that. Because there are places in Canada where they're still doing things that America did stop doing 100 years ago to Indigenous people.
And there's also like the mass genocide of Indigenous people in America. And like, at a certain point, we just took, you know, Canadian history is that our racial problem was just moved up north and like and cultural genocide. So it's like, you know, you hear a lot of Canadians shit talk about like American racial politics, and it's just, it doesn't hold water when you think about our relationship with Indigenous people. So again, that's part of being Canadian, is not allowing yourself to get to a pedestal, putting yourself on a pedestal and, you know, coming on the schoolyard and being like, Otoyo rules.
Right. I feel like a lot of, like, growing up in Seattle, I feel like I have very Canadian sensibilities, not just because I had a Canadian mom, but Seattle is very, for this state anyway, it's very, very, very liberal. The rest of the state is not. It's kind of like Austin in the middle of Texas. But if I like go up to Vancouver, I can feel very much at home there. I feel very much at home in, like, you know, southern BC, that I can just, like, White Rock or Victoria or like any of those that I've been to.
Careful though, White Rock's got the murder hornet. Careful.
I have an aunt that lives there, an aunt and a cousin.
be careful.
But yeah, actually, there was a very, very important question I wanted to ask you that kind of came along with all of that. Are you worried about the American refugees fleeing to Canada anytime soon? Because that's probably going to start happening.
I mean, no. I mean, like, you mean people defecting and being like, "Bye, America"? No.
Yeah.
I mean, they said that when that was. I feel like there's a lot of talk about that when Trump got elected.
There was a lot of talk when Trump got elected, but right now, I don't know how much.
I think we're fucked either way this coming November.
We're completely fucked either way because Biden is like Trump light. Like, he's got better people talking for him. He's not a good person at all. And so there are a lot of people that were like, you know what? I'm kind of done with all of this. I have friends who are petitioning to live in other countries right now. Like, it's actually happening. And a lot of people are looking at this pandemic and this election and wondering how our current government is going to try and keep in power. So
it absolutely breaks my heart. There's some, like, what are we at now? 60,000 people who have died in the States?
That was a couple days ago.
65,000?
It's got to be more than that now.
It was over 65 last I looked.
It breaks my heart because as much as we can talk about the difference between Canadian and Americans, we're so close. And I have people I love dearly in the States, and I love so much about it. And it's just, America's also been the most charitable country in the world in terms of financial, outputs to organizations, with the exclusion, I guess, of the World Health Organization up until recently. But it's hard. It's fuck. I mean, it's so sad to me because I was talking with my mom last night and she was saying, like, I remember, like, she was alive during the Vietnam War and thinking about that number of people who had died during the Vietnam War in the States was such, she said, I couldn't even wrap my brain around it.
Yeah.
And to know that it's surpassed and to know that number has just become normalized. Like, I just wonder if it's really penetrating people's consciousness as much as
it's not.
And it's not. And
I think we're numb to it already.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you build a country on the religion of capitalism, then people are willing to die for capitalism. And so I think it's being seen as some sort of sacrifice. But I don't know. I mean, Canada has the most space per person of any other country in the world. We have a lot of space here.
But most of that's up north.
Most of it's up north. But so, it's just not in our nature to say, like, no, don't come here. But of course, like, how do I feel about it? I want people to be safe. I want people to not sneer when the word socialism is being said. I want people to not equate healthcare with money. Like, think about what that does to the psyche of a person when my grandmother, my mother, and myself, I've never, ever thought in my life about being hurt and then thinking about money right away. Never. Ever. And think about what that does to your mental health. Just to know that there is that.
So, access to mental health. I mean, I'm not even going to try to get started on how hard it is to get mental health here. And that's somebody I'm willing to pay, not by my insurance. And it was hard finding somebody.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's what's so interesting because you get in these discussions with my American friends sometimes, and they're like, well, how you pay a lot of taxes in Canada? And you're like, yeah. And they're like, well, how do you feel about your taxes going towards someone's drug rehabilitation or someone's, like, having mental health issues? And I'm like, because I was given I was handed a card. What's the saying? I was handed like a certain life growing up that I'm willing to obviously pay have my taxes go towards someone's drug rehabilitation because that person was either born in an impoverished area or was a person of color or was part of the indigenous population or didn't have access to higher education, didn't have, and is, or dealing with, or was born with mental health issues. And, it's like, why would I not, when it creates a more cohesive safety for all of us?
It's about society rather than the individual.
Yeah.
Right. And that is truly what every discussion we're having, whether it be racism, feminism, or mental health access or access to, like, poverty, inequality, all of it is an expression of choosing the collective over the individual. And the highest expression of that is the environment. So oftentimes like I find the environment to be a good metaphor to explain to people. Well, you know, you understand the concept. So choosing to have women to have more equality is choosing for everyone to have more equality, which is choosing the collective over the individual. I think when history looks back at this time period of great reckoning socially, people will kind of annotate it with that. This is when humanity started realizing that it's life or death, not to choose the collective over the individual.
I hope so.
I don't know. I mean,
as Spock stated,
that's awesome. that's pretty much exactly right down the line. Everything that I think. So
I've had those Twitter fights.
Yeah, I've stopped doing that.
I mean, I'm, you know, you're going to put this online, and I'm sure I'll have people mad that I started spitting.
If they listen to our show, they hear it already. Yeah. I am a raving leftist. It's like
you're
I'm not a fucking Democrat.
What did that one guy say? You were a fat lesbian teacher or something.
Roller derby was in there somewhere, which I've been retired for a while, so he obviously was only looking at like whatever was out there in the world.
Yeah. I mean, like at the end of the day, you sort of have to be like, I don't know, like, right? Like this is just. I mean, it's important that we are open about this, and I think a long time ago, I was more reserved because you don't want to affect your career, and you're struggling as an actor. In a moment, but now I've started to realize that so much of my career as an artist is tied into my politics and what I want for humanity and what I want to see change. So they're one and the same. When I'm on set and I'm been given lines that I find are sexist or bizarre or like heteronormative unnecessarily, I challenge it, and that's important. And that it's important that women and LGBTQ writers are put in positions above the line and people of color above the line, because they're the ones who you can have those conversations with. It's the old guard that you can't say, well, why would my character say this? Why would she draw attention to her body like this unnecessarily? It makes no fucking sense. Like, and that is like, then you start sort of carving a career out for yourself where people start seeing you as these characters. And so then you get more of them, and then you have to have these insane conversations less because people start being like, oh, Kelly's the queer raging lesbian feminist. So let's get her like, let's get her in like she's like the raging feminist who likes to go in space and plays sports. Very specific niches, guys. That's what it's about.
Space is queer.
Well, hell yeah. Well, the future is queer according to your children.
There you go.
I have a student friend of mine, not one of my students, but a student friend of mine said that there was nobody in his generation that was straight anymore. So I thought that was perfect. That's beautiful.
Kids are next level.
Oh my God, I love them. Level. Reason I'm a teacher.
I was exactly. I was a nanny. Like when I was living in New York and trying to make it on Broadway, and I was like a nanny from age like 19 to 25. And the young women, but the girls, the children that I used to nanny then, I meet them now. We're fine. They're so next level.
Right.
I have conversations with these like 12-year-old kids, and they're just spitting things that it would take someone entire lifetime to like wrap their head around, you know, like
yeah.
It's the only thing that gives us hope.
I love my son when he was in elementary school. I mean, we all loved Adventure Time.
I love Adventure Time.
And so
mathematical.
He was in elementary school, and he was talking about Adventure Time, and one of his buds said, well, Adventure Time's gay, and he goes, what's wrong with being gay? So that was his response. So yeah,
but that took a while for him to get to, like, even with Evan, because he was way more so like the friends that he was drawn to still is
he's
more
been,
like
he's
the jocks.
He's a sporty bro.
He's a smart bro.
Yeah,
he's a smart bro. Like, he wants to go to college to be an engineer and hopefully work for Boeing one day. He's a smart bro
and play football.
But he does have a few friends who I would throw off the flat earth, or at least their parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the community we need to infiltrate. It's like, I'm always encouraging men to speak up, because men listen to other men, which is why that episode of Letterkenny is so breathtakingly fucking rad when they're having that standoff about quote unquote gay bashing. Because you're just like, that's how, because people, you know, when I spit feminism and I talk about women's rights, like they just see me as a man hater, and it just, I know that people turn off. And so I'm always encouraging. I mean, I'm constantly finding myself the one woman around a group of men. And then someone has a question about feminism, and it just gets directed at me. And I was like, oh, so because I was born female,
you're speaking for all women now.
Yeah. I'm like, hold on. I didn't know that I came out of the womb entirely bent towards making you more less ignorant. But here we go. My new thing is I'm just like, well, there's this really incredible resource. It's called Google. And
did I pronounce that right? Google?
It's called Google, and you can look up things that you're interested in knowing more about, if in fact you are interested in knowing more about this and aren't just trying to be a little adversarial, which I think you might be. But you know, you could look up, like, I don't know, how to make sourdough starter, how to, like, I don't know, you could look at like whether or not to look at the eclipse or not. Like, you can look up all these facts. So I'm just going to say you probably don't actually care about whether or not you know the answer to what is feminism. You're just trolling me. So
yeah. And
then I make so much friends.
Well, you definitely
he's
got
the one that
friends
does.
in
Yeah, he's the one that does that between us. I don't confrontation anymore. I've gotten way over all of that. So it's really nice to have, you know, over 13, 14 years trained somebody to be my mouthpiece.
I mean,
I just can't hit them because I don't go out.
Yeah, it's hard because I find the exhaustion comes from, do I say something? Do I not say something? So about 7 years ago, I wrote down and made a binding, like, sci-fi pact with myself, like cut blood, like, here we go, bonded for life. People listening can't see all the cool hand gestures I just did, so I just want to say I did a lot of, like...
It's like from The Magicians.
Yeah, I did a lot of like weird, or the tails from Avatar with my two hands.
God.
Like sex, Avatar sex. Okay, so I did one of those. I made a pact with myself that I would always say something. Like I'd be like, and so even if it meant like absolute shrapnel into my professional life, even if I was around like 5 of the most powerful dudes in the film industry, I'd still be like, okay, here we go. All right, that's sexist. And then so I did that for a while, and now I just say, like, I just mentioned this new thing called Google. Now I sort of it sort of depends, but for a long time, to get over that initial hump of figuring out how to truly find your voice and use your voice, it takes training, because women from such a young age are brainwashed to say nothing. Mm-hmm. And when you're speaking a truth about your own experience to someone who's unfortunately and sometimes unknowingly brainwashed to think that they know everything, which is men, you know, it's like, unfortunately, that's the divide in gender. It's hard, because how do you say, well, there's 50% of the population has had this experience that you know nothing about. And that is...
And don't care to learn.
And don't care to learn. But, you know, it's not like I don't have compassion for that. Of course I do. I see how people raise their sons. Yeah. I see it. And so it's like, we expect too much of our men and too little of our women. It's a balancing that's off that we need to fix. But it's hard. I started being like, okay, well, I just, instead of trying to figure out whether or not to say anything, I'll just make a pact that I will say something, and the collateral damage on my career will just maybe even out. Maybe people will be happy that I did it, and then one guy will be like, I'm never working with that fucker again. And I think it's paid off. I don't know. Like, I know that but now I'm, you know, who knows? Now I just play like shit talking assholes. So, I'm not sure if that's
just go full Betty Ann on them.
Yeah, I'm like, now I just play. I'm like Betty Ann. It's interesting though. Like the first, if you look at my resume from when I was like age 17 to 25, all my characters are like Cindy, Becky, Kelly, Kimmy, Lucy, Kimmy, and now they're all like Zeph, Colby, Stevie, Bobby. Like, they're all just like so intense and like rad and like with the exception of
androgynous names that they can go either way.
Yeah, like mechanics, basically just the name of like space mechanics. That's,
I mean, expect Kaylee, you know,
Kaylee, yeah. Well, no, I mean, like I used to audition for Kellys all the time, and now I don't audition for any fucking Kelly. But that's
not what a Kelly is.
Listen, I love Kellys. I grew up with Kelly Kapowski and Kelly Bundy. All right,
right.
God's gift to mankind of ladies. So every dream you could be was between those two.
For me, it was Kelly Bundy and Drew Barrymore. So yeah. Totally.
Oh yeah, so good.
So good.
Anyway,
so gay. What?
So good.
We've covered so much.
We have.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, we could probably talk a lot longer. But
I know.
She hasn't eaten yet and will probably pass out on the front steps.
I'm getting giggly, more giggly than usual.
But we do have a lightning round of questions.
Oh, yes,
if you're willing
okay,
to.
go.
If we're willing to play.
Go.
Okay, is cereal a soup?
Yes.
Awesome. First celebrity crush.
Hold on. I think Monica Bellucci.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Best place to vacation.
Italy.
Do you have a nickname and what is it?
Fuck.
That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Not really. No.
Okay.
I don't really have a nickname. No one. For some reason, no one calls me Kel. Everyone calls me Full Kelly, and I wonder if it's from fear. I don't know.
K-Dog, you know.
Nah. Oh no, people call me. You know what? People call me McCormack a lot. I think it's like a sports thing. People are always like McCormack. So my last name, which is not much of a nickname, it's just my last name. But whatever.
Or K-Mac.
Oh, people call me K-Mac. That's what it is. That's K-Mac. I sign off my emails K-Mac.
As you should. Who is the kindest person you know?
I mean, like Jared Kiso, maybe.
That's
pretty standard answer.
Everyone in the cast has said that.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I would say he's the kindest person I know.
I mean,
I want to know who the kindest person he knows is.
Yeah.
Probably like a saint. I don't know.
Yeah, right?
Probably like someone who's like in a scripture or something.
I hope it's not Don Cherry anymore.
Ooh. Canada drama. Okay.
Yeah, we get that down here. So yeah. You have anything else? You have any questions for us?
Oh no, I know all of your political views.
Samesies.
No, I am so happy that we chatted for an hour and 38 minutes.
Yeah.
And I could chat more. Yeah. But no, I thank you for being such fans of the show. And
God, yeah.
Do you want to plug anything that you've got coming up or anything that we might not have covered?
Oh, well, I hope League of Their Own gets picked up.
Me too.
I want to see this for sure.
I love the movie.
And my film Sugar Daddy, which who knows when that's coming out because of aforementioned pandemic.
Yeah.
And I have a TV show that I produced that I think in America you can watch on YouTube called The Nados of Duquesne Island, which is truly the weirdest thing I've
heard
ever
about
done.
it, the mockumentary.
Yeah. So if you're feeling weird, it's about a group of exile. It's about a family who self-exiled on an island in northern Ontario, and they basically self-isolated for their entire life, so it's sort of thematic. And it's called The Nados of Duquesne Island, and that's spelled Neddeaus, and then Duquesne is spelled Duquesne, because who doesn't want to make a show that no one can spell? Me! I mean, I did, and we did. It's great.
And it's done, and nothing you can do about it, people.
It's on the internet. And if you're looking for like a trippy quarantine vibes, that's the show. That's
I might wait for that one.
It's not violent.
No.
Damn it.
It's I just don't think I can watch a show on isolation right now because
it's not on isolation. It's just It's like they just happen to only live alone and shit goes down. That's all. On an island. It's beautiful. It's actually it's very pastoral and in the beautiful countryside of Canada. So it's quite nice. But it's weird. Anyway, but
I like weird.
That's what I would plug.
Oh yeah, and you mentioned a question you had about what you're watching in isolation.
Oh yeah, what are you binge watching during the apocalypse? No, it's like everybody's binge watching.
I don't really watch anything. I know that sounds bad, but I don't really watch.
Well, it's a different time now. That's why. I mean, even lots of folks who don't maybe.
What are you doing more of? What are you enjoying right now?
Well, I don't really watch, like I said, I don't really watch TV normally, and I don't really watch that many movies, but I've been watching every movie that Fellini has ever directed.
Okay.
And so and Visconti and Pasolini, and like going through a bunch of Italian films, because I'm trying to keep my Italian up. And I'm reading a lot. I'm reading the history of modern male rage.
Sounds fun.
and Decline of the West by Oswald Spengler. So it's a bleak time over here, guys.
Spengler, he was one of the Ghostbusters.
But Brainy's fucking hot as what? Yeah. Sorry, show off the brains. I love it.
So
no, the truth is I was researching a film, and when I left LA, I like fled and was like, what the fuck do I bring? I guess I'd bring my research material. And what ended up happening is I brought this like incredibly dark, all my darkest books to quarantine. I was like, I just want a beach read. Why didn't I bring like a cute beach read? But I didn't.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Something other than the history of modern male rage.
I get enough of that already.
I know. I can't wait for that on the internet.
So where can folks find you on the social medias?
Oh, well, I'm really bad at social media, but if you choose to follow me on Twitter, I tweet sometimes at Kel McCormack. And on Instagram, where I basically exclusively post photos of nature, I'm at Kelly and Phyllis.
Love it.
That's it.
I have seen Kelly. So who, if I may ask, who is Phyllis?
Phyllis.
If that's something private, I will leave it at that, and I'll edit that out.
No. It's my middle name, other name / grandmother's name.
Oh, all right then. Yeah. Okay. I usually ask up front, but we started talking so quickly about, is there anything you don't want to talk about?
Right. I would never, it wasn't that face I made that no one saw, but maybe people heard. It was not from like,
you felt it.
Was not from, no, I was just like, I was like, it's sort of weird because it's like, I don't know. I just have never been asked the question. So I was like, I guess that's it. It was more right. Just like, who am I? It was more just an existential crisis question.
Who are you?
Which are running wild right now. So I'm like, I don't know.
All right. So yeah, thank you so much for coming out to play with us. It's
oh my gosh, this was so much fun.
If you ever want to actually come on an episode of our show, let us know when we actually like go over the episodes.
If it's
I will.
And if it's whether it's one of yours or if it's another
someone
one
else's,
you know, because we were booked up for season 8, but whenever 9 comes out, we're completely open, and we'd love to. I'd love to have you guys on to to talk about.
I think. Yeah, Betty Ann and Marianne, we need to start moving in packs. Man.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, my God. I don't know if I can handle both of you at the same time. I would just die.
I need that to happen. It's like now on my bucket list.
Yeah, especially with all the sexual undertones. It's just...
You're goddamn right.
And overtones.
Overtones, undertones, midtones.
Yeah, all those,
melody,
all the tones.
It's all there. Yeah.
The bass line.
It's really the bass line. Let's be honest.
That's where you get your groove, right?
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Well, thank you for having me on here. It was so much fun, and thanks for supporting the show. And please stay safe, and I hope all your loved ones are safe. And deep breath for America right now. We are all everyone in Canada's hearts go out to everything you guys are dealing with, and hopefully it will get better.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, thanks for listening to this season of Letterkenny with us. It's this whole thing has been amazing. We really appreciate everybody who's been involved. Thanks to all of our guest hosts. Thanks to our musical guests. Thanks to all of our listeners. You guys have been fantastic. Keep following us on the Facebook, on the Twitter, everywhere we are. We love having you. Thank you so much, Kelly McCormack, for joining us. It was a pleasure, a gift for talking to you. So we really loved it. And we hope to get more folks from the cast and crew on the show for some great interviews, because everybody we've ever talked to on the show has been fantastic.
Absolutely. And don't forget to join our social media to help us know what you want us to do while we're waiting for the new shows to come out. Do you want us to talk to you guys? Do you want us to talk about other things that the cast members are in? We are open to your ideas, and we would love to hear them. Let us know on Facebook or on Twitter, Tumblr, Insta. We're on all the things.
Yeah. And Patreon.
Absolutely.
Patreon.com/HowAreYouNowPod. Thanks, guys. Take care of yourself. Wear a mask. Keep it safe. We love you.